Hello, it is Tuesday, October the 2nd, 2018. I'm Brad. You're Jeff.
That's right.
You're Ben.
Hi.
You're Mike Mahardy.
Hey, thanks
man?
for having me.
Yeah. Jason A. Striker.
Hey.
Down there on the board.
Down there on the sticks.
The board and laptop and sticks.
Yeah, well,
Fight
that's what
stick?
There is a
yes,
stick.
I got my
Did you
arcade
wire
stick
a
over
fight
here.
stick into the controls down
I'm
there?
controlling everything via Madcast.
Man, how cool would that be if you actually had done that?
You could, I mean, yeah.
That's why the show's going so well.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's a quarter circle forward and then
Jab,
hard,
forward,
yeah.
short, fierce.
Yeah,
I can-
and then
there
that
we go.
throws to commercial.
I can never do
Gotcha.
that 360 on the stick. It's so hard to
You need a
do
different
that pile driver.
octagonal
Oh,
gate.
okay.
Or no gate.
Or buffer it. You know? There's plenty of reasons. If you want to sit down and talk about how to do a standing 720, we can get into that.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I can't do a standing 720.
I can't either.
No, I can jump and do it, and as soon as I land,
Yeah.
but come on, I'm not.
That's a lot.
I don't have that
Buffer
kind of
with a
time on
normal.
my hands.
Now we'll talk later.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Go to
You
fight.
start at like 10 o'clock, and
Uh-huh.
then you go down and around to like 2 o'clock,
That-
and then you make like a little V back to 10 o'clock.
You
and
got to do it
go
a
over.
lot faster.
But yeah, you got to do it real fast.
Start early.
It's
in the
like
morning.
2 upwards facing Pac-Mans.
Okay.
Oh, and that
What?
prevents you from jumping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
That makes total sense.
Just whiff a normal.
Yeah, sure.
There you go.
Man, just getting into fight school right off the bat here. That's a lot. It's the Giant Bombcast. I don't think I said the name of the show.
Hello.
Jan Ochoa is out on assignment.
That's right.
I think we can say.
Yeah.
Jason holding it down there.
Barely.
Yeah.
We're down a camera.
That's okay. A lot of production-related
I'm trying
things
here.
happening.
I'm not even in focus.
A lot of
Don't even
things,
worry
uh,
about me now.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff in flux in the office right
Oh
now.
yeah. No, yeah, it's a lot of the
Exciting times.
the winds of change. That's what we call it.
Some heavy lifting going on.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Just picture a big flashing under construction gif.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what our
Right.
studio looks like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a pardon our dust sign over there.
Can we
Yep.
say like what's going on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got a whole new studio set going in.
Yep.
Yeah.
We took a vote, and we didn't want a couch anymore, and that was the hardest thing we've ever done. I want to say it was make that call.
Weeks
But,
of deliberation.
Yeah, it really was. But yeah, we made the call, and we're going to a big boy desk. It looks all professional and shit.
Yeah.
We got like 2 TVs like hooked up to it, 2
Yeah.
4K monitors.
Yeah.
I want to put.
They're pretty rad.
I want to have a lot of control over what goes on those screens during shows.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
us?
I was watching Rocky on there last
Oh,
night.
man.
So
Okay.
just to pump me up.
That's a
So
good
it's
start.
possible.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Which one?
Oh, the first one.
Okay.
Start from the beginning. Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah, that's a good choice. You guys, I'm assuming you've talked about the Creed 2 trailer by this point.
No.
Oh, you
No.
haven't.
Yeah.
It gets me amped every time I watch it.
I still haven't seen Creed. I'm
You
like a
should.
big Rocky fan.
You should. Yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant because Ryan Coogler's not directing Creed
Oh,
2,
okay.
but it still looks very, very good.
It sounds like it's doing what people who liked Creed want it to do. Though,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
it's-
like
They
They
focused
brought
on-
back Drago, right?
He's back. His son is back, and his
Oh, it's his
son's
son?
challenging Michael B. Jordan. And then to train, Michael B. Jordan goes out into the Los Angeles desert and starts just pounding it with a sledgehammer. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
anyway,
Pounding what?
if you could beat the shit out of a desert.
Yeah.
then I think you can handle.
that's what I'm
Son
assuming.
of
Rocky.
Drago.
Yeah, I'm assuming if Rocky says like move this desert and then your training's done or something.
Yeah.
Take this, Earth.
Yeah. I was wondering what all that stuff outside the studio was. Every time I go to get coffee, it looks like a lot of professional stuff getting installed though.
Yeah. It's kind of ripping out the coffee table and.
I mean, we
all that other
haven't
stuff.
fouled it up yet.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
will-
you're like, what's all
Oh,
this professional
yeah,
stuff
no.
doing over by the Giant Bomb studio?
It
Yeah.
will be unprofessional soon enough.
Yeah.
It'll be it'll be like when people walk by on tours. I don't know if you get this down by your desks, but like there's always we hear people walk in. I think it's like people interviewing for positions. They get shown around the building.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It's
there'll be
always
like a class of kids.
Yeah, and it's like this is the video game area, and all
Yeah.
those arcade machines are right there. But then it's us, like in a mountain of boxes, and they're like, and this is the games spot. Giant Bomb
They're
is here.
still
This is
they're
the-
still moving in.
they're still over here.
I
with
like
the
they
stuff,
say
and
this is Giant Bomb, and then the people will sometimes say, "What's that?" And they'll go, "It's
it's like it's a video game porn site. I don't know what they even say.
One time there was a group of kids walking by, like high school aged looking children, and me and Jan were in the studio, and they said, this is where they record game stuff, and all the kids just started yelling out, "Fortnite!
Yeah.
Fortnite!" It was
Yeah. Well, then wasn't there one kid who was yelling? There was one kid in the background yelling out,
Brawlhalla.
Brawlhalla.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like Fortnite, PUBG, Brawlhalla.
yeah.
I actually had a really kind of pleasant experience. A similar tour group walked by my desk when I was like capturing Siege footage, and they like knew the character I was playing and everything. I had a really nice chat about Rainbow Six Siege with them, which that runs kind of counter to what you might expect from high schoolers these days.
Yeah,
A nice
well,
chat.
Yeah, about Siege specifically.
You met the hardcore kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I met the cool ones.
They spend the lunch in the computer lab playing Siege.
Oh yeah,
And you were wearing your "Ask Me About Rainbow Six Siege" T-shirt.
yeah.
that
It says
day,
it on the front
probably,
and
yeah,
back,
which is
depending on which
helpful.
angle they come
Yeah,
from. Yeah,
that's nice.
Exactly.
Mike, thank you for being here
Thanks for having me.
because you have played some games.
Yeah, this
Is
week
that-
is one of those perfect storms of
Yeah.
kind of
You were a fount of knowledge this
Yeah.
week
as always, right? That's how I come off.
about games that we haven't touched yet.
Yeah, so this morning an embargo came up for a few, like last week or 2 weeks ago when, everybody and their mom got to play Red Dead Redemption 2.
Except us.
Yeah.
Well,
you
Dan
guys
played
did?
it.
Dan,
Oh, right,
they,
yeah.
They
They're out
saw it
there.
in New York.
Yeah, so we got to play an extra 3 hours during that same session. It's just we weren't supposed to talk about it. The original embargo got moved. It was supposed to be later this week. But yeah, we get to talk about it now.
So you played 5 hours total?
Yeah,
roughly?
so we got into the demo room, and the game was actually just paused on the intro cutscene. And they said, yeah, whenever you guys are settled down, just press start and start playing.
We'll start the stopwatch.
Yeah. And we got, and I won't spoil anything because the beginning is cool. It's very much like a, I don't want to say tutorial because it is just very much easing you into all the characters, many of which you might know from the first game.
Yeah, does it immediately start ringing bells as far as
Yeah.
like the characters you know from?
Yep.
And it-
Nothing
does
too
it-
surprising.
And it maintains that same feel. Like it's been kind of a long time since that game.
I will say I think people by this point know that it starts off on a more Hateful Eight vibe in the snow and blizzard and whatnot, and it starts off at a point where Dutch, the leader of the gang, he's kind of maybe losing control over the gang for the first time in their history, supposedly. And you are playing as Arthur Morgan, who I think I actually grew to like Arthur over the 5 hours I played, and I didn't think I would. He just seemed kind of like this everyman who had, like John Marston, for all he, for as iconic of a character as he's become, I still never found him that interesting personally. But I like Arthur Morgan. I think they did a good job of finding this even-keeled member of the gang, and I think that fits with the whole like RPG aspect of this game.
Because that sounds different than the image they have presented in the first couple trailers a
Yeah.
few months ago.
Yeah,
Where he seemed like a real dick.
Yep. Yeah, he's that's what's tough writing him, I guess, in this game because there's so many opportunities for, I guess, role playing, like actual role playing, not just like progression and whatnot, but just the way you interact with the NPCs. I think everybody's been struggling to figure out what makes this open world tick, or to at least describe what makes this open world tick. And to me, it's just the fact it's not the player choice. I think games do that easily now. I think it's the fact there are consequences to your actions, and that's really cool because depending on how he acts, like that'll just actually like carry through. You'll walk into a general store and it won't like affect your conversation tree, but the owner of the store will immediately think you're about to rob him because of shit you've done in the past.
Like word that's spread about your actions?
Yeah,
or?
so like if you don't wear a bandana when you kill someone, as soon as we got into the open world, so we played like the first 2 hours, and then they said, okay, we're going to go, once you set up your first camp in a separate area, we are going to, and then they showed that train robbery. We jumped to that really quick and then came back to the open world. They're like, all right, now just go do whatever you want. So we immediately just kind of, Jake Decker, my coworker, he's like, okay, I'll go to town. It's that muddy town they showed in that first ever trailer. But on the way, this stagecoach kind of passed us, and Jake's horse, they hit Jake's horse, and then the guy in the stagecoach was like, what are you doing? Like, watch where you're going, asshole. So Jake, you have that context sensitive, like left trigger, and he said, and Jake just like responded in turn by saying like F you, what are you talking about? And then it became an altercation. The guy pulled his gun, Jake killed him, but there were witnesses, and because Jake wasn't wearing his bandana at the time, which is just like something in your item wheel, they recognized you. And then there was, you have the choice whether to kill the witnesses or you can threaten them. You could fire your gun in the air, which was kind of cool because at one point I did the same thing. I was just like ambushing this caravan. There was a witness. I fired my gun in the air and like pointed my gun at her. I was like, don't fucking tell anyone. She's like, you didn't see shit. And then she ran away. She's like, I won't tell anybody. And she still told the sheriff.
Yeah.
So, and I like that because, it's only 5 hours. Who knows? The game could come out and it could be just fine. But in that 5 hours, like the game wasn't just confident enough to like have its own rule set. It actually broke its own rules, which I really
Well, I wonder,
appreciated.
like, if that's like a dice roll, or like, will there be cases where they won't tell anybody and you
Right.
get away with
Yeah,
it, or will they always be like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna tell anybody,
Right.
Fuck that guy, and then
Exactly.
immediately go tell somebody.
Yeah. And I hope it is just like based on, you know, that in your head it's based on the NPC's personality, but maybe it is. I hope it is a dice roll. I hope it's not like that every time.
Right.
But and they, of course, like Rockstar was there at the demo with us, and they were saying like, no, that won't happen like that every time. And they're not going to tell me that's
Yeah.
going to be the thing,
Right,
obviously.
yeah.
But
they're
in
gonna be
an
like,
ideal,
trust us, it's the biggest, it's the most dynamic thing you've ever seen.
I mean, I would want to see that through to its conclusion and track her down and confront her about it and be like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, so that's also based on. So they were saying like, yeah, so she actually is traveling in real time to a town to tell someone. Based on how far from a nearby town I knew I was, it seemed like it did happen that way.
Yeah.
Like maybe 5 minutes later in game, a bounty came up and it said you're being hunted. And based on that trailer that came out, what was it, yesterday? They actually go to the scene, investigate the crime. I didn't know that happened. I would love to like kill a few people and go up onto a nearby hilltop and kind of watch them like
Right.
CSI. Be like with like. Looks like something went down here. I don't know. Like,
Well, that's weird because that's almost like the GTA 3 thing of like you cause some shit, the cops show up, and you're like, well, I'm gonna kill all these cops too, and then more cops just keep coming and coming and coming.
Yeah, and like you can lay low for a while, or you can you could just like by the time I was being hunted, I was long gone. I was in like a marsh or anything. But yeah, if anything, from what we played, it felt like stuff was happening too often. And it wasn't overwhelming. I think the game, despite how like much they're going for realism or kind of like, I don't know, it's funny. Like it seems like they're going for like a lot of those cliched terms that we use all the time, like immersive and everything. But it actually seems like they're trying to earn it this time, and it felt like it happened too often. It was really, really funny. One point we were riding by this guy who was replacing the horseshoe on his horse. And we didn't have to say hi, but we just said, hey, how's it going, as we rode past him. So he stood up, turned around, and waved at us. And in that instant, his horse bucked and kicked him in the skull and killed him.
Holy shit.
And I don't know if anybody's mentioned that. I'm sure people have. The sound design in this game is really brutal. Like when you get in fights, it sounds like real fists, like crunch. You can hear like cartilage breaking. And when that his hoof hit him in the skull,
God.
we went up, we're like, he's got to be dead. And he was very dead. And the horse ran away. So, you know, if the game is working as they're saying, like, if we didn't say hi, he wouldn't have died. So we indirectly murdered him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that actually would have been the case. I like to think it was, because it really felt organic. And then moments later, I walked in, I heard this, like, I just heard someone retching. And all of a sudden, this guy stumbles out of the woods, like, oh my God. And he's got puke all over his shirt. I just thought he was drunk. He's like, I'm so messed up. I was like, what's wrong? He's like, I don't know, just give me some medicine. So I gave him like a tonic I had. He drank it. He's like, don't eat those pink flowers. And then he was trying to trip, essentially. And he thought like the pink flowers would have hallucinogenic properties. But turns out they were poisonous. So then that was how I learned that I could, like, I think make poison to poison other people with the pink flowers.
Does it kind of annotate that in the interface? Does it like flag a thing, say, hey, collect these to make
Hey,
poison?
you learned a thing.
So that's what I liked. It did not do that. It
Huh.
didn't like come up in, because so he has a journal. It's very much like Nathan Drake will write in a journal. That's kind of your like entry log, so to speak.
Does that even record just the dynamic encounters that you've been talking about, or
So
is that just for story?
it's for like dynamic encounters too. Like there was one point where we met somebody and it would say we came across this really creepy guy. He had a tent up on a hill overlooking this house, and it said he had a bunch of like sepia tone photos of this one woman, like a clothespin to like some yarn. And he's like, do you have a girlfriend? And you can respond negatively or positively. We kept responding negatively, like, no, we don't. Like, no, we don't. Why do you ask? And he kept asking, and like no matter what, he clearly the dialogue was meant to keep his quest going. So we're like, no, we don't have a girlfriend. Why? Like at a certain point, I think you can be annoyed. And he's like, I don't know. I've been like, in so many words, I've been stalking this woman who's a widow now. I saw her husband die. I don't know if he killed him or whatever, but he's just saying, yeah. So she lives alone on this farm. I forgot how the conversation progressed, but we ended up killing that guy. But
Some key details missing there.
yeah,
And this was like a quest.
No,
giver?
I don't know. I feel like you had enough.
This was just something. It was like a middle of the night. We saw this like campfire up on the hill. We went up to talk to him, and then in our journal, Arthur wrote down the location. He's like, oh, that farmhouse. There's a woman lives alone. That's a prime burglary, like target.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was
just
the
based
trailer.
on dialogue that he.
Yeah, just
Man,
based like we didn't, and it wasn't even nearby. Like you could, I think if like what the guy said was to be believed, you could see it in the distance, that farmhouse. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't like nothing popped up on our HUD. It just like said in the journal, yeah, like she's living alone. We could easily rob that house if we wanted to.
Does that seem like something? So, that, like, I was going to ask about, the woman running away as a witness. Like, it seems like, as you move around this game, you're going to meet a ton of characters. Like, how are you supposed to even keep track? Like, 10 hours later, you're going to see this woman and go, like, oh, this is the woman who saw me. I should smoke her right now for what she did. Like those sorts of things. Like, even the journal seems like once you get out of that moment or get out of that area or whatever and get to 5-10 hours down the line, you're gonna go like, wait, what was this house? How did I find out about this thing? Like that seems like a risky thing for them to do.
Yeah, that is my worry, because that guy came out. We found this guy trapped in a bear trap. I think we came across like 6 miscellaneous things, and I say miscellaneous just because that's how like other games label it. Like these fetch quests, like I really loved how they were elevated to the level of like what other games would just call their actual main story or major side quest or something. There is the worry that it'll happen too often to the point where they'll lose meaning because there's so much.
If you see like 2 guys get kicked in the back of the head and killed by a horse in that game, then you're like, okay.
It's like
as
watching
soon as you see the wheels turn, you're
That
like,
was the thing, because in the first, or well, not the first Red Dead, but the previous, Redemption. There were like half a dozen random encounters you would have. Like there was the guy about to be hanged.
The strangers and
ambush.
freaks.
Yeah, there were kind of like half a dozen sort of canned scenarios
Yeah.
that you would just run into over and over, and it was cool for a while. But eventually they just sort of got.
Yeah, it became
tired.
just kind of like a system rather than an actual like characters.
This
you ran
sounds a lot
into.
more dynamic, although I mean I haven't seen the game yet.
Yeah.
It could be smoke and mirrors based on
It's another guy stalking another widow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Here's another place we could rob.
Yeah, based on the level of like detail that we saw, and there's something like 8 studios at Rockstar working on this game, and it's the longest gap in their history, 5 years now since their last new release. But it's not new IP. Sorry, but like I am worried that there will be too much of that, and it will just like desensitize you early in the game.
Sure.
But it all felt like it did make the world feel almost like a character unto itself, which was really cool, because it's apples and oranges, but like playing AC Odyssey, a game I really, really love and I'm having so much fun with. There's no, I was listening to Waypoint, and Austin Walker said, he put it well, I think. There's no friction in that world.
Mm-hmm.
There's no consequences to anything you're doing. You can complete a quest and then just like assassinate that person.
Just like a backdrop. It's just a setting.
It's a setting, and then
it's just a bunch of arbitrary video game mechanics.
Exactly, and then
not a well-conceived world.
And Red Dead actually feels like there are consequences because this world will react to you, which I think that's the difficulty in open world games going forward, is how do these worlds react to you rather than, I think open worlds, like especially Ubisoft, like, and Rockstar, obviously, like they've essentially like figured out how to make you react to open worlds. I think it's vice versa. That's the challenge.
What this sounds like more than anything to me, I mean, I ran into you the day you had played this. You came back kind of raving about it.
Yeah.
Like, everything you have said about this sounds like a Bethesda RPG to me. Like the fact that all these individual actors are out there with routines and travel patterns, and like there's physical movement around the world, not just somebody warping somewhere else. Like it feels like a simulation of that type.
Yeah, and we're at the point now where every video games in general, or any like movie, anything like entertainment wise, there's a suspension of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
I think Red Dead and Rockstar seem to be trying to ask less of that, or ask less of you in regards to like how they're suspending your disbelief. Like again, Assassin's Creed, something will happen in the world. You'll be like, oh, I recognize that voice actor, I recognize that face, or I kind of predicted that would happen. But like you're having fun, so you just kind of say whatever. Red Dead, it doesn't seem like they're asking you to do that as often, or they're not requiring you to do that as often to enjoy the experience. It feels very much like everything is essentially just like, it is just like moving along whether you are there or not. And yeah, it's exciting. We played only 5 hours out of what is a massive game. We saw, I kind of got sidetracked and went way into the open world at one point, like into a marsh. The game is just absolutely stunning. I'm not normally one to prioritize that. Like I'm playing Forza Horizon 4 as well when I get the chance, and that game looks unreal. But Red Dead, like it was night, rain started falling. There was this lantern hanging outside a house. It was just like absolutely like stunning. Like you can use any hyperbole you want, and it's accurate.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks very good.
That sounds awesome.
We played on a Pro.
Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't seen the Xbox One X. I'm assuming it looks great, if not better.
Probably
but
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fantastic so far.
That sounds really promising.
And speaking of that same house we saw the lantern outside of, it was really cool. We went into the house. It was just a random thing. Like Alessandro, my other coworker, with like 3 people there. He's just like, okay, I want to go see what's inside this house. We went in. Not only were there dead bodies there, but they weren't just like the dead NPC character models. They were actually, you could tell they were decomposed. Like you could tell this happened a while ago, which was very cool. I'd never seen a game do that before. That maybe there are like crime related games where that happens.
Sure, like they do it. They go out of their way to like LA Noire or whatever. Like, hey, it's
as
a crime.
evidence.
You're supposed to see these clues because you're Batman. You use your detective vision.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I looked at them and I was like, oh, they're like, oh, this just happened. Like we were getting really into it. I was like, no, look, they're like blue. And then you could pick up like food and interact with everything in the house, and I forget where that went, but essentially, we found out that these people were murdered a very long time ago. I don't know how the lantern was still burning outside of the house, but like that's the kind of stuff.
Been there.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we were thinking about during that game. That's the danger with trying to do this. Obviously, if anybody could do it, it's 8 studios at Rockstar working on it.
Yeah.
But
5 years.
Exactly, yeah, but you do start getting into that territory where you're like, oh, all this makes so much sense that like I wonder if like these minor things.
I should
like
wait
lantern,
here for the guy who comes and lights the lantern, and
like like they just dig themselves deeper and say, oh, people are clearly going to follow her to the sheriff to see if she's actually like interacting with him, or if it's just a thing that like just like pings on your HUD. So we have to account for that, and then that just like now we have to account for the sheriff to have his own dialogue with another NPC, not just the character. And yeah, I thought it would be more overwhelming than it was, but I'm curious to see how that expands after that 5 hours.
It's interesting when you say that they're like the only ones that could do something like this, because when you think about it, like their last game made what? They probably hit $1 billion. When you have a studio whose last game made $1 billion.
The cushion of GTA Online definitely affords them. Whatever, they've had that cushion for years.
Well, right, but it really hit it ascended
now.
With GTA 5. It really ascended to another level.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they say? They've sold like 90 million copies of that game or something like that.
Like if it's half as successful as their last game, that's still 500 million.
Yeah.
But I mean, just what other studio could devote this level of resources to a single project for this long? You know, it's like it's almost unfair in a way. But I'm still glad that it exists.
I still I know this is. I don't know whether they've said outright before, but I wonder how much of GTA Online was, or like I wonder how much of the like roadmap for GTA Online was designed to allow them to put this much time into the game that came after GTA 5.
I think that they stumbled into it.
I
think like
the
GTA,
launch was terrible, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
People were really upset with them with the heists and with GTA getting up and running.
But I think they just like they probably had some ideas about. Well, depending on who you believe. Like I know that there was a lot of like speculation out there saying like GTA had single player content planned that got killed once they saw how online was taking off. But like I don't know if I believe that or not.
I mean that thing has just reached a level of success that nobody could bank on or predict.
Yeah.
Like it is just at a scale that is impossible to
I'm sure that they
imagine.
Thought it would do quite well and sell some microtransactions and stuff along the way, but they can't. There's no way back then they were like, oh, and then years later we're still going to be like, oh, there are new cars coming in. Like there's just no way.
Making just hundreds of millions of dollars on an ongoing basis.
Have any of you guys played GTA Online recently?
Since it launched, I don't think.
I played a little bit after
more
launch.
times.
I'm not
Same here.
Like, I don't even have a good picture of what it looks like at this point.
Yeah, I haven't played in a long time. I know they just released those like DJs. You could run a club recently, and that was the new thing. And apparently, I'm sure that made a ton of money. And I wonder what that's going
just
for.
Not like I always came to GTA for like the writing and the characters and all the other stuff. So the idea of like, hey, here's this world completely
funny radio stations.
Completely divorced from all the stuff you like about it, and then add in a bunch of players who are nonstop dicks.
Yeah,
like at some point, like that's the opposite of a game I want to play.
Yeah.
So I haven't kept up with it either. But I'm curious. You have to imagine that will then inform Red Dead's online a ton. I mean, obviously Redemption 1 had online stuff, but and I actually would think that GTA Online was somewhat informed by Red Dead Redemption's online because of that kind of free roam stuff or whatever. But like you have to wonder like what they launch with when that thing rolls out.
I mean, this is exciting to me because I just feel like the wilderness is an inherently more interesting place to like roam and surprise people and ambush and
But it's hard to set up
hijinks
nightclubs and races.
I
Like
guess
the scope of events at your disposal.
I mean, like there were places like there was a town in in Redemption that had like a brothel and a casino and like there would be business opportunities and stuff like that. They could contrive some of that stuff.
There's another point where Jake was just riding through the countryside. I think he was returning to the camp. Rockstar's like, all right, like, yeah, you guys explored, but let's go back and try this side quest. So we were like, okay, we got to ride across the map. We came across this guy who was like, he was yelling in Spanish, and then he saw us. He's like, hey, I'm from Mexico. I'm the best shot down there. I came up here to challenge anybody. You think you can take me on? You're like, yeah, sure. And he's got these 6 bottles set up kind of like on the rafters under a wooden bridge. And he's like, all right, 7 bottles. He's like, whoever shoots more wins. He's like, let's put a wager on it, $5. You're like, okay, cool. He's like, all right, on your mark, set, go. You start shooting. Jake lost. The guy shot 4 bottles. Jake shot 3 or something like that. And then the guy's like, all right, I won. You owe me $5. And Jake, assuming like most other games, he just thought it would just subtract it from his wallet.
Yeah.
So he walks back to his horse. The guy's like, what the fuck? you owe me $5. And he's like, Jake was like, wait, how do I do this? And like, it was just one of those things where you hold the interaction button and you're supposed to like, we didn't see it because things got out of hand, but you would hold the trigger and say pay or refuse or whatever. And the guy's like, you owe me $5. So then he pulled his gun, Jake pulled his, and then Jake pulling his gun made the guy shoot. So like, who knows? Maybe if Jake pulled his gun first, the guy might not have become violent.
Yeah.
Well, more violent, but yeah, it's just funny that it has that added layer of you actually having to make the transaction yourself, and if you don't, he'll notice.
Right.
But
Like,
I
on
wonder-
one hand, that sounds like a lot and like kind of a hassle, but also that's like a key part of that
Yeah.
game, right?
Yeah.
So you wonder, like, if you let that sit, will he go reset the bottles and then you smoke him and take your $5
That's
back?
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
If you can placate him by doing it, and then
I mean,
just
that's
loot it
again
off
like
of
you
him.
want to talk about the GTA things of spending money and killing the people you gave the money, like
Yeah.
another long time Rockstar thing.
So that interaction ended with like a gunfight between.
Yeah, Jake, they start shooting at each other. It was one of those things where Jake shot him a few times, and then he was like stumbling back up, and then he used Deadeye and shot him in the head, and I think he had like $45 on him, which I like. Again, like I was mentioning how like I start to overthink this stuff because of what they're doing, but like he had $45 on him. I was like, the math checks out. That's a factor of 5. Like maybe he bet a few other people $5. I don't
He
know.
showed up with 5.
Yeah, and he multiplied it. I don't know. It's
I guess he was the better shot though.
Yeah, he wasn't lying. Like he made. I like that he had more money than like if he had like just only the $5, that would have been kind of funny if he only had the $5.
Yeah, if he was just like he was the first guy, or if he didn't even have the $5,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
just like that cocky.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's like the best thing about like if a game can create those sorts of illusions where you start to dig deeper. Like the hope is that you just never get all the way down and see the gears turn.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
if they can stay in that kind of magical space, then that game will seem infinite. You know,
Yeah.
It's like a book or a movie. You
Sure,
know, it's like
yeah.
dissecting it beyond the author's intent is always more rewarding if you can layer in that like plausibility of the.
Sure, yeah.
I think the thing I am most fascinated by in this game is that your contextual actions seem to, characters pick up on them and it changes things. I mean, it sounds like a lot of the interactions are that abstract, just dialogue choice of like, be hostile, be friendly. But did you see any other examples? Like there's bandana up or down, there's shooting into the air or pointing a gun at people. Are there any other like mechanical things you do that they notice?
So
that stuff's really cool.
Not to do a shameless plug, but on GameSpot, Rob Handlery and Jake Decker have a thing planned where they're making not a big deal, but Rockstar is in the trailer yesterday. They made sure to show it, but during our demo, we kind of saw the ramifications of your hygiene. In the trailer, they show Arthur's all muddy and his hair was long and his beard wasn't shaven, and the woman was approaching him, then just turned and ran the other direction. So your hygiene can either become a problem, or Jake got into a bar fight, and because he had just shaved and cleaned up, the guy, like other like macho dudes, are more likely to call you a pretty boy. And I don't like knowing Rockstar. Maybe they'll go farther into like like homophobic stuff or whatever at the time or whatever. But
sure.
It actually your hygiene can become a problem, and like your gang will, according to Rockstar, we didn't see this, but based on that trailer yesterday and everything, Rockstar says if you don't like shave enough or if you eat too much because there's a big system in this game is your cores, and it's your stamina and health and Deadeye. And your core is your ability to recharge that stat, and that's separate from your actual HP or stamina count.
Yeah.
Your core is just how fast that will recharge. And if you're eating too much and you're not like, I think if you're not running enough and not riding if you're just only riding your horse, your stamina will go down, but you'll just gain weight, and then your hygiene, if like that compounded with your hygiene, people will actually like pull you aside and be like, listen, man, like we've got a shower over there. Like we really, it's becoming
It's
a
the
problem.
Wild West.
Yeah,
but even we
But
have
at a certain
standards.
point,
Is it
And then you shoot that guy.
yeah, and then you just kill him. And
Actually,
take his money.
did you try to kill any like story crucial NPCs to see what happened?
No. So what we came across a person where he was trying to write a biography about this dude who was drunk next to him at a bar. Right after this bar fight that Jake got into, and the mud stayed on him for a while after the bar fight. And the dude called him a pretty boy, so they got into a fight. Again, the noise was just like you could hear the nose crunching and stuff. So we cleaned up into this like rain barrel next to the saloon, cleaned off his face at least. Went over to this bar. There was someone slumped on a bar, and he was just like clearly like pretty drunk and like just like blabbing and everything. And someone next to him was saying they were trying to write a biography about him. And he said he was also trying to track down these other 5 famous gunslingers to be like sources for the biography. And the guy passed out drunk, so the thread for the side quest becomes tracking down these 5 people. We found one. Her name was Black Belle, Belle, and it was pretty funny because at the end of, again, I don't want to spoil too much, but she essentially you do a quest with her, kind of, so to speak. And at the end, she's like, "Oh, so he's writing a biography about so and so." He's like, "Of course he is." Like, the reason we don't have as much fame is because we were too busy like actually doing this stuff. He's talking about it and drinking at bars and telling stories. And then you go back. We didn't go back to the guy, but we didn't try killing anybody. Story crucial, that I remember. But again, like based on what we've seen, I wouldn't be surprised to see if like they just take that quest out of the game.
Because like that's something that I think older Bethesda games used to let you do that they got away from.
Right.
You used to be able to kill just about anybody.
And they were like, okay, no children, no quest givers.
Right. Now like you'll try to kill somebody who's important to the story, and they'll
be
sort of
unconscious.
They'll like kneel for a while and then get back up.
Assassin's Creed has that like the fourth wall thing where it's like, oh, your ancestors didn't kill civilians.
Right.
They're taking you out of the animus and reloading it. Yeah. But there was a lot going on with Red Dead.
This game sounds wild.
Yeah,
I'm really fascinated by it.
It's tough. Like I don't like previews inherently, just because I don't like.
Because you're left not knowing.
Yeah.
You're left going like, okay, well, they showed you 5 hours of this game. Does it keep it up for 40?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't want to just sound stupid when the game comes out. When I said like, oh, maybe this will work. So like,
turns out hour 6 on is just shit.
Yeah,
I was like, oh man, this game's terrible.
Here's another stagecoach.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident in the quality of this game based on what I played. Definitely, and fairly is. I'm very confident. If anything, I'm worried. My chief concern is it'll happen too often. This stuff.
Right.
I kind of mentioned it. We came across a guy trapped in a bear trap, and the spikes were just through his shin. And Alessandro, instead of just immediately helping him, brought up the contextuals like, "Hey, what's up?" Or no, he's like, "What's wrong?" I got a fucking bear trap through my ulna or tibia. I don't know, but he's. I'm not worried, but I'm wondering if that stuff will happen so often that like each individual encounter loses its significance.
Right. Or if it's got variety to it, that's like probably still at least sort of okay. But if again, if you find 10 dudes in bear traps over the course of that game, I'm like that.
You got to find the dude who's laying those bear traps.
Yeah.
See, that's a quest.
See, then
there you go.
That makes sense. But then, I don't know. Then you just get to a point where you're just like, well, I know how this resolves, so I'm just going to shoot every guy in a bear trap I see when no one's around.
But yeah, that's like Rob is planning on just trying to see how bad his hygiene can get and how people react to him. And
you're not even talking about the game anymore. You're just Rob's just gonna.
I came in today. He was asking for like deodorant and everything.
Oh man,
yeah.
Shaving at his desk. It's just disgusting. It comes out in like 3.5 weeks.
Yeah,
pretty
over
soon.
26.
Dude, that's wild. That's really crazy.
It's the day that Back to the Future 1 and 2 took place on.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Right. Yeah.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
So are you gonna hook a DeLorean up to a train in this game?
Oh man.
No, it's just gonna be Back to the Future 3.
Yeah, it was
exactly.
Oh my god.
That is
The train.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
You've also been playing that?
Yeah, I played a lot of that. That is out. It seems like most reviewers are liking it a lot, for the most part. But man, that game is. There were so many times during playing it, I was just like, "This is so stupid," but I'm having so much fun. It is a very. I think there are like these camps of Assassin's Creed fans. Like I've been playing the series. I fell off the series with Unity. Like many people, I think.
Yeah.
And I didn't love 3. I know 3 has its defenders, but I played through 3.
They're wrong. Defenders of 3 are just wrong. Like they said they're going to remaster it, right?
Yep.
Like,
that's coming out. Forget when.
But man,
those Connor heads out there.
Right? Yeah. There's cool stuff about the tree jumping.
Yeah.
No, tree jumpers. Like those mechanics,
Yeah.
like are cool. But man, 3, God.
Odyssey is, I think right away I think from my point of view, I thought that they communicated that they were not taking themselves very seriously. I mean, as much as like the series has sort of been rooted in history, and like that's the allure of each new title is where's it going to be set, who's the character going to be. At the end of 2, you're in a fist fight with the Pope over an apple of Eden.
Oh, that's right.
Like as much as
that happened.
Yeah,
that's real.
And then the first civilization came down and talked to you, the player, through Desmond, through Ezio. Of course, it's all historically accurate. But with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they really, I mean, the Spartan kick is fucking pulled from a Zack Snyder film. Like they're not trying to be, and you can kick anybody you want essentially. And
you can kick animals.
Many main story beats people are clearly placed next to cliffs, and I have to wonder if they did that on purpose.
That's the remember Dark Messiah of Might and Magic? No one should at this point.
The Arcane Studios game?
Yeah. Like that whole game, like it had the same type of kick in it, and it was way overpowered. So it was just like you were just running around corners, just kicking everyone off ledges over and over again for the entire game.
And I feel like at a certain point in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I'm like, oh, they're just trying to make me a superhero. I get it. From the beginning of the game, you cannot die by falling. There's fall damage, and it'll bring you down to like one sliver of red health.
Yeah.
But later on, you reach level 15, and she does this. She doesn't do this roll when she hits the ground. I chose Cassandra. She's much better. Like, her voice actor's hilarious. Yeah. She's very funny. Alexios just sounds kind of not that intelligent. The character. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And but anyway, she, like it's not a tuck and roll at the ground. She flips right before she hits the ground, and somehow that negates falling damage.
Graceful landing.
Yes.
Well, if you think if you think about it, it is still this fake world inside an animus.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like there's.
And then we kind of touched on it. The farther you get into the game, the more they start to sort of justify the fact that you do have like superpowers.
Yeah.
Like, as absurd.
The setup is you're like an ancestor of Leonidas, right? Or
yeah. So you find out like I tried not to pay too much attention to like pre-release stuff, so I don't know what's a spoiler and what's not. But yeah, I think they've kind of
that's what they kept telling me. I saw several preview things, so
cool.
I feel like they're okay with that being out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you find out that you are an ancestor of Leonidas, and a lot of like Assassin's Creed lore junkies were like, how is this going to fit in? Because it's before Origins, which was the start of the Assassins. And it's kind of what you'd expect. Like you're hunting down people who will eventually become the Order in Origins and then the Templars. But you're a descendant, you're a mercenary. And that alone right there causes so many problems with the storytelling because much of the story I like. It's rooted, I mentioned before we went live, that it's kind of like Star Wars in Greece. There's this family dynamic. It's following the trail of this one family. Certain people are trying to like pull others back from the dark side, etc. And I like that aspect, and I think it works really well, especially because Cassandra's voice actor is phenomenal. Like I can't give her enough praise. I should have looked up her name at some point. I think I did, but clearly, I think they're trying to make you feel like a demigod at some point. Like, as absurd as the older games were, they were always kind of rooted in physics. This one, you throw Leonidas' spear, which is your, like, stand-in for the hidden blade. You throw the spear at someone from far away, and then all of a sudden she warps and pulls it out, and then you can chain it. So that's like your long-distance stealth attack.
Huh.
And right there, like, Origins had the... I forget, the Predator bows, which you could control the arrows.
Yeah.
That alone was kind of dumb, but it was fun.
But it wasn't like people teleporting. Like that's I guess that's all still just as dumb. And in the grand scheme of things, you're probably right. But
this is doubling down on that. And when I say you can just warp to somebody, they don't have to be that close to you when you upgrade it, and they don't have to be on the same level as you. At one point I was in this watchtower, and I saw someone in another watchtower, and I did it, and she just all of a sudden appeared next to me. I'm like, what the fuck did she just do? Does she have a grappling hook that I'm not seeing? And the game is, I'm having so much fun with it, and I think the world's gorgeous, and I'm having a lot of fun. People have described it as Origins mixed with Black Flag. The naval aspect is not nearly as, like with archers and javelins, it doesn't feel as much like Black Flag, but the transition between those is much smoother. Like I'm spending much more time on land, but in Black Flag,
it's so island focused though that like whenever you do have to move to another island, you just get on that boat.
Yes, yeah. I think it works really well, and the fact that you're a mercenary just causes so many problems because, and they also are trying to introduce that Witcher they've quoted The Witcher numerous times, and some reviewers are comparing it qualitatively to The Witcher, which I disagree with strongly. I don't think it goes anywhere near the. Again, I think it wasn't player choice that made The Witcher great. I think it was the consequences. And I think there are a few points in Assassin's Creed Odyssey where they're like, oh, remember this choice you made? This just fucked you over, or this like kind of saved you.
Did they come out and say it? Because that sounds like the most video gamey thing ever. Like, hey, that thing you did 20 hours ago.
Sort of, yeah.
Sucks for you.
Like I remember in Witcher, you could come across someone's grave that you forgot you killed, and that was really cool. They just didn't really mention it; it was just there. Or you could read the grave. Geralt would say something to himself, just because like you couldn't read the print that small. But yeah, they'll reference be like, oh my god, like I remember I saved these people, but then I saved these people from being killed, but they had this plague that eventually spread to everybody else. So my love of the few screwed over the many. Yeah, it's pretty exposition heavy.
I think it makes sense sometimes, like, you know, especially a longer game, and it sounds like this game is long.
So yeah,
like the hitting you over the head with like, hey, you did this. Like we're still at a phase.
Yeah,
maybe something like Red Dead. If they really do nail that, like that'll be the sort of stuff that pushes people, other studios away from that sort of stuff and trusting the players to kind of put it together.
I think it also makes sense that like in Greece, like the home of the Greek tragedy, they can be a little over the top with the like, consequences of these actions.
Yeah. And they go so far as to say, I mean, they've been doing this for a while now, but the first civilization, I actually kind of like the modern story stuff of Assassin's Creed. I realize
is there any consistency? Sorry to cut you off.
No.
Between, I mean, I don't know how far back it goes now. I mean, the Desmond stuff ended with 3.
Yeah, he died
Is there any consistency in the modern day stuff from like this back to Origins and then back before that, or?
So yeah. So I don't know how much I'm getting into spoilers here, but you're not. Yeah, you're still connected to Desmond.
It feels like they are trying to tell a story.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And there were certain games like Syndicate, or no, sorry, not Syndicate. Unity went out of its way at the end to pretty much tell you none of this shit mattered, and in the modern story and in the historical setting.
That was the thing. That was like, it was kind of, it was like a bummer. I guess that was Assassin. That was 3, right? Or where they killed Desmond finally.
3. At the end of 3.
I think is Alex Hutchinson, I think was the...
Yes.
Yeah, so he was out on Twitter when they announced the remaster saying like, oh, here's some things I would love to change about the game, or like, you know, things that, you know, if we had it all back, maybe I would make these changes. But like somewhere in that thread of tweets was just like, oh yeah, we had to kill Desmond to get away from that bullshit and free it up to do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And like that was like this main directive was to get away from the Desmond story. And it was just this depressing, it's like, fuck, man, like that was the one thing keeping me going,
tying it all together
through all those games. Yeah. And like the thing that got me to not finish 3 was 3 was not fun to play, but also then hearing like, oh, and they totally fucking bungle the Desmond thing. Like at that point, I was like, well, I'm not even gonna finish 3, because it was bad. And then hearing what
also,
they were
like,
away from.
what did they accomplish with that? Because like 4 came out and. Granted, the premise was amazing of the modern day stuff in 4 because it was, you know, Abstergo owns Ubisoft and is putting out Assassin's Creed
games. There's still stuff in the real world that you look at it and go like, man, that's fucking crazy.
Like, I don't think they did anything with it though.
And then by the time they got to I didn't play many of those middle ones, but Origins had like 3 segments where you were out of the Animus total.
Yeah, that's
it was like maybe a combined 15 minutes.
That's commensurate with Odyssey.
Okay.
You are the same character, Layla Hassan, as you were in Origins, but she is just now working with Desmond's dad, William. Because I don't know if he's the leader of the assassins. He might be, but he's one of the top assassans, and she didn't like agree to be an assassin, but she's like helping them.
That part takes place after Origins, even though the Animus stuff is before Origins.
Sorry, wait. What?
Yes. The out of world stuff happens after the events of Origins.
Yeah, so like it's the continuation of Layla's story in the future.
She is going back.
I
feel like this conversation says a lot about how Assassin's Creed has gone over the last few years.
Modern day story wise, Origins comes before Odyssey, but historically Odyssey's events, the Peloponnesian War, took place before Ptolemy and Cleopatra.
I think that stuff, like, I think there's a lot of potential with that out of the Animus stuff that they threw away, that like it seems like they could get back if they keep up this pace, or they're still kind of telling a story there, but it just seems like they're not confident enough to really like make it a driving part of the story. So instead it just becomes this set dressing of just like, oh, if you're a deep hardcore fan that's paying attention to this lore, you're gonna piece it together. But I would much rather have, I wanted the Desmond game. I wanted the fucking current modern era Desmond the assassin game. Like he learned in the Animus, and now he's out there murdering.
Yeah, that's
he'll be back as a computer in Sleeping Dogs.
Right.
Or not Sleeping Dogs.
Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs 3.
Well, that was the
Desmond
entire
is the
premise of. I always forget that was the entire point of Assassin's Creed 2. That they learned about the bleeding effect, how he would learn from his ancestors.
Oh, that's right. They
and so they're training him to be this fucking.
I forgot. They textually established that he was like through osmosis becoming an assassin.
And at the end of Origins, Layla like has learned from Bayek and Aya, so she's like, oh, I can fuck up these dudes, and then William like notices, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, the whole point of going back to Ezio's story in 2 was I think her name was Chloe. She was saying to like Desmond, we need to train you to be a modern assassin. And like some stuff, like was it New York or Chicago? You were like parkouring over the
exactly. Like there's little bits of it where you're like Desmond doing the parkour stuff, and you're like, okay, I can give him laser hidden blades.
Isn't that part of like the crazy ending of 2? Like you do all the stuff where you fight the Pope, and you are visited by the goddess or whatever. But then out of the Animus, isn't there like an escape sequence at the end where you start to see the assassin vision stuff, and like even though you're not in the Animus, and like he does some climbing, some assassin style climbing.
So they introduced the bleeding effect in the first game when at the end of the game, Desmond can use that eagle vision, and he sees Subject 16 or whatever, all the glyphs that he wrote on the wall, and that's that thing that people analyzed forever. When it became pretty clear this was going to become a huge franchise. They're like, oh, where's it going to go? Like there's a lot of Mayan writing, there's a lot of Egyptian, but there's not. That is in Odyssey, but like Origins, it's like 3. Insofar as like I'm 50 hours into the game, and it's like 3 points where I'm Layla.
That makes sense.
And they're pretty cursory.
The last thing I guess I wanted to know about is that war mode they kind of talked about.
Yeah. So it's like a system that's laid on top. If you're talking about like the Peloponnesian War itself, between Athens and Sparta,
with like big battles going on.
Yeah. That's a huge point of contention for me for this game. It doesn't. Because you're a mercenary, I would if you were just a mercenary who was playing both sides, that's pretty cool. You're lowering defenses for like you'll open your map and you'll see that Athens is governing or ruling or like Attica, or you'll see that Sparta is ruling over Laconia, and then you have the option for many areas to weaken their defenses and then choose whether to help the defenders or the attackers. That there alone could be cool, but you get more rewards as the attacker. So then you're thinking, what is ever the point of being the defender? I would love to be able to weaken a nation secretly and then come up to them and be like, hey, I see you're getting fucked up. Let me help you for more rewards.
Right.
But what you're doing is weakening the defenses and then helping the defenders for fewer rewards. Like, what is the point of ever defending? There's not a point yet. I'm not at the point of the game where there is an incentive to help Athens, the Delian League, or the Peloponnesian League. Right now, it's just kind of slipshod, and I don't know whether it clashes so often because there's Cassandra, who's just you can either kind of paint her to be someone that wants to do everything for family, or she cares about Sparta because you are a Spartan, but you're like exiled.
Right. Yeah.
Or you can like help to prop up democracy with Athens. But that clashes with the role playing because you can either choose to make her just like you can just be this mercenary that cares only about money. And that clashes so hard with some of the story beats. The main storylines will say, like, you need to help Sparta. And then some of her dialogue options, like, I have always cared about Sparta. That's all I care about.
I would never betray Sparta.
Yeah, and I feel like there's that mercenary system that's kind of like a Nemesis system, which I like. It's like Nemesis vanilla. There's no like intro like in Shadow of War where like Grok the poet like recites this sonnet to you before
like that's the thing ultimately that made the Nemesis stuff work so well for me was the amount of personality they put into those characters.
After they killed you and just like shit talk you.
Incredible amount of writing for that stuff.
Outside of like certain elemental attacks or the fact that they have a shield or a specific weapon type, the mercenaries won't you won't really remember them too much.
That sounds like a non-starter to me.
And I wish the game. I'm having so much fun, and every once in a while when you get a conquest battle, it's just you're fighting people, and heroes will show up, and I wish you could kind of figure out which heroes were going to come so you can assassinate them before, kind of like the Nemesis system. That's not how it works. It's just this like pitched battle on this beach where you're fighting a ton of people, and then all of a sudden it's like, go kill that captain, and it's like a battlefield reinforcement tick meter. And those are very minor. Like for me, I just avoided those for the most part. I did like 3 of those battles throughout my 50 hours because I felt like the war system didn't make sense with the story that they were trying to tell. or vice versa. The family story didn't make sense
Sure.
with the war, which that itself, you also start hunting down the cultists, which that I really like, despite the fact that some of them are tied to the main story without them being overt about that. So you'll be like looking for them for like 4 hours, and then be like, okay, I give up. And then later in the game, they'll be like, oh, this side quest you just did with Socrates unlocked this cultist. And you're like, oh, I wish I knew that when I spent 4 hours the other night. But
So
this game is bloated.
Do you think that getting back to some of the stuff like teleporting and warping around and flips and all that stuff, do you think that they should lean into that in a way that eventually makes this just like that last Saints Row game? Like you can just fucking fly or something?
So I'm not like an Assassin's Creed purist, so I have no problem with them doing that, what they did with this game. And you essentially are just like this demigod, and you are kind of this like mythical person. And like, again, like it's an Assassin's Creed game, so you find out that your character pretty much is like precursor, DNA, whatever.
You matter in a way.
Yeah.
Of course you do, yeah.
And man, like really quick side note, this story really fucking goes places with the Greek mythology and Greek people. The game is the series is pretty infamous for shoehorning like Da Vincian as your like Q,
right? Yeah.
Or I don't know, like Jack the Ripper was in Syndicate or whatever. Like they do that to an even higher degree with Odyssey, and it's pretty like it was jaw dropping in a very dumb way.
Cool.
But
that's
but I like having Origins and Odyssey to play, because I think the way that Odyssey is designed, you could still go back to Origins and have a very different experience, despite the fact that it is a yearly franchise. Or they're not doing it next year, but 2 years in a row they had a game. I really like the fact that I can go back to Origins and have a much more Assassin's Creed game to play. In the future, I don't think I'd want another huge superhero-ish game like this.
Yeah.
I would rather them have a more measured approach like they did with Origins.
Sure.
Because the games appear similar, but they are different in many subtle ways.
Are you saying, I mean, you haven't finished the game, I don't want to like hold your feet to the fire, but are you saying unequivocally like you think Origins is a stronger game, or like not to get ahead of ourselves, but like I've talked to enough other people who have played a lot of Odyssey that that's kind of the vibe I get. But I don't want to put words in people's mouths.
No, feet to the fire. Yeah, I think Origins is a stronger Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
I'm having more fun by the minute in Odyssey. Actually, again, like I think it was Rob Zachney at Waypoint was saying he liked, and I agree with him. I liked that Origins. There was that desert in the middle of the map that there's nothing to do. And I like that. The game was confident enough in its world to just, there's no side quest here. There's nothing. You're just, you found this shipwreck.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's
this
a really
used to be
good looking area that you can get across and like,
And I understand people who say what's the point of this unused space in the world? But I liked that it was just a desert, what a desert should be. I think Origins was much more confident and it just let its world exist sometimes. Like, it had that it had that academic mode or whatever it was,
right?
Tourists or whatever, which apparently was kind of actually flawed. Like in some ways, like it wasn't actually accurate in a lot of ways. But I don't know if that was
for
like,
the Assassin's Creed universe, it's accurate.
Yeah. I don't know if like
the Apple. That's
Maybe they got an actual Egyptologist to like dissect.
That was something they patched in later on, right?
Yeah.
Does this new game ship with that?
No. So it's got exploration mode, which is very different. When you play Odyssey, play exploration mode. That is one thing unequivocally. Everybody should play it in exploration mode.
That's like straight up that's like turn the HUD off and like listen to people talking to get the next, like that sort of thing, right?
Rather than in true Ubisoft fashion, rather than this marker just coming up on your HUD saying go there. Sometimes that'll happen if Cassandra already knows where like this shipyard is or this character is. It's funny because actually, if you ask like, "Oh, where's the shipyard?" They're like, "You fucking lived here your whole life. How do you not know there's shipyards?" And it'll show up in your map. But if she doesn't know, like some guy just bought a vineyard the day before, and she's like, "What? He bought a vineyard?" And you're like, "Where is it?" And it'll say it's in the eastern part of this region of this island. Once you get close, it'll give you a prompt to switch to Icarus, your eagle, to find the person. But I highly recommend that because it makes exploring much more fun. In a lot of cases, it'll be much more fun.
The eagle really named Icarus.
Icarus, yeah, not Icarus, but it's there, yeah.
All right.
But yeah, it's playing exploration mode. It makes it much more fun to find clues. If you liked those treasure hunts in Origins, you should play in exploration mode. Cool. Yeah, and those do exist in Odyssey. They're called. It's some really Greek word, Enigmora Astrata or something. They're those things that just say like, "I'm here." It's a clue, and you have to go find it without a marker. But yes, I do think Origins is a stronger game overall, but I'm having a shit ton of fun with Odyssey, despite how frequently dumb it can be.
All right. And that's out
Yeah.
Friday, right?
It's
October 5th, whenever
right.
that is.
Yeah,
it's Friday.
It's Friday, but is that like a early?
Yeah, I hate
before
that
the Tuesday.
I also hate that we have to ask, like, is there some pay more and play it early thing going on?
There
here?
there are microtransactions.
Yeah.
There are daily events that if you complete within a certain time, you get Orichalcum to pay this one dude. I never felt forced to use it, but it is there.
Yeah.
It's on loading screens and stuff.
I think I think people can play it. I want to say that you can get that game today
Okay.
before the Friday if you bought the expensive one.
Like, is that
Because
just...
for Forza, if you bought the $100 one, you could play that.
Yeah,
That was last
Microsoft,
Friday,
That was
and then
last
today
Friday.
is the day for
Yeah.
everybody else.
So
Okay.
Microsoft's been doing that for at least a
Sure,
couple
yeah,
years,
yeah.
but Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I think, was the first non-Microsoft game I remember doing that, and it makes me just...
WWE has done it for a long time.
have they? Is
yeah.
2K doing it?
Yeah, 2K's done it.
Like,
EA,
I wonder...
does it with everything.
Oh, God,
they've done
that's-
it for a long time.
Oh, because of the
the
access,
Xbox, the access
right?
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I wonder if that's just going to become the way of things.
it has. I mean,
Yeah, I guess
for
we're getting there.
for games of a sufficient, like Call of Duty's done it some years. Like that's just if you're putting out a big game and you want people to buy your season pass, it's just another tool in that fucking arsenal, I guess.
Yep.
I might do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Jonesing that bad?
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
When was the last time you played Origins?
When that DLC, I can't remember. If it
I
was
think there
the
were
first or
two
the
big
second.
packs, right?
I never played the second one.
Okay.
I played the first one.
Okay, that was probably January, February, or something
Yeah.
like that. Okay. That's been a while.
Yeah, and just I'm thinking back about all the fun I've had, and I mean I liked a lot of things about Origins, the story kind of more than anything, which was surprising to me. But just having fun running around doing stupid assassin stuff, and it sounds like this one ramps it up.
Yeah, this one is very like full on. It's a superhero game.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Man, games are coming out. It's October.
Yeah,
That's a lot
yeah,
to
totally.
take in. So much, in fact, that we need to take a break. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Nighthawk Pro Gaming from Netgear, rated 2018's top-performing gaming router by PC Gamer and IGN. You know what you need on the internet?
What is that?
Speed.
Speed?
Speed.
Wait, isn't that illegal?
No, man.
Wait, really?
No.
Huh.
You can get it over the counter.
Yeah? Who's gonna hook me up?
Netgear's going to hook you up.
Whoa.
Yeah. Netgear has got these routers.
Uh-huh.
It's XR500.
Whoa. That's numbers and letters.
That's right.
Sounds official.
It's gonna get the internet into your home and then get that internet around quickly. Low latency, stability, the things you want to have when it comes to the internet up in your house.
It's gonna fling those packets to and fro.
Exactly. You got multiple connected devices? Of course you do.
Uh-huh.
Think about it. It's 2018.
25 or 30 different internal IPs in my house.
My thermostat is on the internet, man.
It's like they're a whole internet of things.
That's right.
There are all these things on the internet.
all these things on my local internet.
They'll come up with a name for that.
And
sometime.
then the proper, one of these days they will. That stuff's going to cause network congestion.
Yeah.
A lot of gateways are not going to be able to handle that.
No, that's a lot of routing.
That's where the XR500 comes into play.
Whoa.
It's the easiest way to improve your online connectivity and experience with the biggest impact.
XR500.
That's right. It's like creating an express lane just for you to get incredible speed, no lag,
Whoa.
that sort of stuff. Just
Vroom?
it's like a high-speed car in your home, but without the exhaust fumes.
Ugh.
Or
Do not want internet fumes in your house.
no, the internet fumes are incredibly toxic, so make sure that you are responsibly venting that stuff. This thing is purpose-built to lower your ping and stabilize your connection, which that sounds like useful stuff to have.
I don't like to lose packets.
Yeah, you got complete control. You can log into this thing remotely, do stuff to it, all sorts of business. It's got geo-filtering, traffic prioritization, device management, all that sort of stuff. So if you've got devices that you're like, no, these ones need to be the fastest, maybe you can set that up. Say, hey,
QoS.
oh yeah, you want to keep that service quality in check, and not compete with other online devices for bandwidth. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You want it full speed.
I want it all the way.
Open the internet hose.
I want it all the way.
You don't
I want Netgear to give it all to me.
You don't want a trickle of internet.
No, I want the floodgates.
You want a face full of it.
Yes. Give me a face full of internet.
Just turn the hose right in your face.
Yeah. If you're looking for that, you can visit netgear.com/NPG and learn how you can join the No Lag crew today.
Mike Mahardy bringing the big guns this week. you guys play anything else of note?
Look at them guns.
We haven't talked about.
I mean, we've got a review of Forza Horizon 4 up in the Giant Bomb Presents podcast feed.
Yes.
That's an hour of us talking Forza.
Yeah.
So I've been playing more of that, and kind of post-release, seeing
what season are they on right now?
Summer.
Summer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think is where they're at right now.
Okay.
How's your influence doing?
It's off the fucking charts. Like, I'm landing brand deals left and right. Like, everyone's sending me cosmetics in the mail.
I heard you're going to be on a Gillette ad.
Yeah, that's me. No,
ad.
it's that game's a whole lot of fun, and kind of knocking out some of the late game stuff, and seeing more people come online. And so now that there's a Giant Bomb like club up that can hold 2,000 people. So now, like, all the AI in my races is now all people from that club and stuff like that.
Is that the existing club we already had going?
No, it's a separate one that has to be flagged as. So there's a Forza club and a Forza team. The team can only be 25 people, and I don't know what the difference is. Like, I'm not.
So an existing Xbox club could not be converted into a Forza club? I'm not sure I understand.
Not as far as I can tell.
So the Giant Bomb official classic that we already had did not come in.
No,
I don't understand the point of that system.
No, it's you're looking because you wouldn't want 2,000 people that maybe don't own Forza to live there.
Ideally, it would only pull in the people that have it on their account that have played it.
But
already.
the clubs have a limit of a set number of players anyway.
So
if you want a focused club, because you're looking to, if the clubs are there for inviting people to play your game.
Right,
so if they're, if you're just a general club, which you can still get out to and probably still send invites to on a system level. But this is the one that kind of comes in game, and this is for leaderboards and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so having a bunch of people that didn't play Forza in the club, it would be a waste.
Well, you just filter those people out. Like,
but then you're wasting slots, is what I'm saying.
But even if 10% of 2,000 people play it, that's still a lot. Anyway, that sounds a little bit obtuse, but
it's a kind of a weird system. The club's system on Xbox One to begin with just always seemed like a thing.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
We have another Giant Bomb club that got made before.
And that one now shows up now.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, the one that
thing
was
hidden.
broken.
It was hidden, and I couldn't access like the admin options.
Yeah,
for the
and
longest
it's like
time.
you, me, and Alex are in it. I think that's it. I don't know. It was because they
an exclusive club.
Exactly. Well, hey, they earmarked some club. They reserved club names for us back when they rolled.
I want to say I think the name of that one is just Giant Bomb.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have any open seats?
Yeah,
we could get you the most exclusive club on Xbox Live.
2,000.
Okay, cool.
So I think we can get
pretty roomy in there.
I have like 8 cars, but
that's plenty.
Okay, cool.
You only need like 3.
So I cracked into that game over the weekend, like the real one, and like I guess it's old hat at this point because like I've played through the beginning of that game 3 times now, like at that event, and then the demo is the beginning, and then the real thing. But like I feel like we have not talked enough about just how strong the start of that game is. Yeah, because you get to a title screen, you hit one button, and you are fucking driving a car very quickly through an amazing looking environment. Like, it's Forza, it's still simulation-ish. Yeah. It's still a serious driving game.
Definitely.
But they don't beat you over the head with like, all right, tweak this car, sign up for this competition, like intro. It's like it's one loading screen and you are just driving through
just have some damn fun.
And the way they cycle seasons, it's like, all right, we're gonna give you a look at every one of the 4 seasons. In 10 minutes, you are gonna do a bunch of cool driving shit.
Yeah.
Like it moves.
Like their onboarding, their ramp up to the live world stuff, I think is so smart.
Especially like just games are so dense and long, like you talk about how bloated Assassin's Creed Odyssey is and stuff. Like I just appreciate a game that just gets you in there and doing the thing as fast as possible.
Yeah.
They do a really good job.
I think there's some menu flow stuff in that game that could definitely be better for kind of just getting you to do the thing you want to do as fast as possible so you can go back to enjoying the racing.
Yeah, I think we talked about the tuning and stuff in the
there are
review.
Little bits and pieces there
that's clunky, but
they could smooth out. But yeah, by and large,
they create a good spectacle right off the bat.
Definitely.
It's really weird, actually. Like I was playing Forza a lot last weekend, and I was having many of the same emotions that I had when I was playing Spider-Man. I was like, these are all chores that I'm doing, but it's so fun to move through this world that I don't care. And this is
I'm doing so much just open world driving. Like I'm filling in roads. Like there's a leaderboard for how many roads you've driven down.
Yeah,
and even and they've had that for years, with Horizon. But like last time I played it, I don't think I did one event. I think I just got in there and just drove around and just knocked a bunch of shit over and had a good time. And I was like, okay, cool.
I kind of get what you mean. Like I was driving around, like what's the dance station? Pulse, I think. Yeah. Like I had Pulse on, and like the weather was nice and bright, and I was just tearing around corners. And I was just like, man, there's just like a zest to this that like I get the Spider-Man thing of like it feels good There's something positive about playing this.
There doesn't need to be much meaning to these things that you're doing. It's just fun to do.
Yeah.
It's the way you move through between them that's just
like
enticing.
I don't want to make the Dreamcast like blue sky thing too much of a cliche because it would suck for that to like be drained of its meaning. But like it feels like that.
Yeah,
it's just this positive, uplifting kind of.
Yeah, it's really solid. And we've got hours of footage up on the site and a review for if people want to see that stuff. So yeah, I've been messing around more with that, and then I've been playing a game called Phantasy Star Online.
Shit, you too?
Whoa.
No joke. Like I fired up a server just the other night. Not a server
you're running your own? Okay.
No, not running my own, but I have on a private server.
Which one? Are you on Ultima or are you on
Epifana?
I tried downloading that one and it just threw a big malware warning,
It's
and
fine.
I was like,
it's fine. It's done
That's
that
just to
for
keep
years.
out the noobs.
I used to be on that server years ago. Like I still have an account on that server. I don't know if my character's still there, but like it was like that malware warning was enough for me to go like, maybe I'll switch over to Ultima.
What the hell brought you to do that? And me at the same time.
RetroArch brought me over.
Okay.
And so this is like a fascinating, cool, weird thing. You know, emulation, it exists. It's a real thing. But like it's hard to play some of those old games in their original form because servers go offline and all the other stuff. It's been kind of the cool thing about the private server stuff for Phantasy Star Online and stuff like that. But that can be kind of a hassle to get into, especially if you want to do it on a Dreamcast or a GameCube. Which you can do, but then you're modifying disks or you entering a bunch of GameShark codes to modify IP addresses to point at servers and all sorts of weird shit like that. RetroArch recently built in the ability to seamlessly talk to existing private Dreamcast servers. And there's a community out there that is like, they have scheduled event where they, because there's not a ton of people out there doing this, but like you can fire it up and enter a fake phone number and you can connect an emulated Dreamcast to the internet and play PSO through this. So
is that how they do it? You're tricking it into seeing the modem and not the broadband adapter?
Yes, it is, and the speed still works. Because maybe emulating the broadband adapter is trickier. I don't really know, but
it all works fine.
Yes.
Wow.
And so you can connect an emulated Dreamcast. You can connect a real Dreamcast to these servers as well. So theoretically, you're running an emulated Dreamcast, but you might be playing with people on actual Dreamcasts because of the way these servers work. And it's just such a crazy thing. Like that like dragged me back in. Hearing that they had done that work to make that happen, and now they're like, hey, Thursday nights we're going to be playing this bowling game for Dreamcast. We're going to get online and play it. So everyone get together so we can have enough players to play. Like just weird shit like that. That got me back into it. And then after playing the on a fake Dreamcast for a while, I was like, I should just go play Blue Burst. I should download a client and just play the PC version of this because it'll look nicer. And they've modified the servers to have
different drop rates and everything.
you gain XP way faster. They've got happy hours and all kinds of weird shit. And so I've leveled up the same. Also, I finally realized that I've been making the exact same PSO character, like in appearance, over and over again since like 2000.
Same. I've got two that I cycle through.
I mean, yeah, I've been doing that since World of Warcraft came out. Like it's fine.
But it's the short robot with the mushroom head, all black, and because you want it to be small, because you want to be able to see. Always make the smallest character you can. Because you want to be able to see over its head in these third-person games. When you're shooting
I can't
people.
do that out of principle.
Don't you want to see how the other half lives?
No, I've played like dwarves in games before, and the field of view always puts me
when
off.
they swing the camera down to the ground, you just feel like you're like a dog or something.
Fair enough. Wow, that's
and your perspective is
it's
that
like half a human,
that of something that is like 2 feet tall.
Fair enough. I don't know. I'm a robot with a rifle, and I'm gunning down rag rappies left and fucking right.
Yeah, this thing is weird. Like, I didn't remember that Choo Choo Rocket has online support, but apparently it does, because reading about this and looking at the list of games, I was like, oh. Well.
It's a fascinating, you've been able to do this for a while, but like the number of steps you had to, like hoops you had to jump through to make it happen were such that it was just like, okay, I'm not installing tap drivers and all that other stuff. But they've done the work in this emulator, in this front end. It's not a front end, it's a API, I guess, to make that kind of a low to no configuration thing, and it's kind of awesome. To just have that stuff work. It's fascinating to see that work happen. So
there's no way to read those discs on a PC, right?
Not currently. No. In fact, like the process of getting an accurate dump of a Dreamcast disc onto a PC is something that requires a lot of weird steps.
Oh, wow. So if you have Dreamcast games in your closet, you can't exactly just pull them out and play them.
Well, if you had a broadband adapter, you could dump them with the Dreamcast. They're not going to be the most accurate. Well, look, they'll
All right.
work.
It sounds like a can of
work.
worms.
You can do it.
Okay.
Is the important thing.
Okay.
Or you can get an audio trap disc and all this other fucking weird shit. It's not worth getting into here.
Okay.
It's esoteric and
Well, yeah, but I mean, but the
not.
basic question is like, if you just have old games, can you play them or not? Or like, I guess you should obtain them by other means.
Well, I mean, yeah, there are ways to make your discs into things you can use in an emulator for sure. But for Dreamcast specifically, because of the nature of the GD-ROM, it's not super simple.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so I don't know. That feels like there's a PSO renaissance. Jared's out there streaming PSO now.
Yep.
You and I are both playing it. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, it was Jared that was streaming it, and I'm just like, why shouldn't I just boot this up and try and hop into a server with him?
Oh, yeah.
I never actually made it in there with him, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
got a character up to like level 5 or 6, and just had a
That's a
great
good
time.
game.
Yeah,
It's
still to
Diablo.
this day.
It's Diablo. It's
Yeah.
four. It's
Yeah, I've
four.
never
It's
really
four
seen it in
areas, four
action.
tile sets. It's It's a Diablo. It's an action RPG. You know, you kind of you go down to a world and you make your way from room to room, killing stuff. There are drops. There are some quests.
Very loot based.
Yeah, I mean, even stuff like Destiny takes cues from like PSO. It was pretty influential,
Yeah.
I would say.
very strong soundtrack as well.
Yep.
And by now it's like completely nostalgic as well. So
Yeah, totally.
it's
Like
it's a good time.
there's just timing and things about that game that I kind of never lost. So, so I don't know. I've been fucking around with that. I didn't want to. I was all ready to start playing Assassin's Creed, but we got a kitten instead. So that's
like an assassin.
It is
training.
yeah, I'll show you the scrapes. Well, that one's
Yeah.
mostly
Yeah, they
healed, but
come with their own bleeding effect.
yeah,
Actually,
no, yet to draw
Hidden
blood. but
blades.
yeah, very hidden. Yeah, we got a kitten. He's fucking badass. It's
Where'd the
awesome.
kitten come from?
The pet that we went to, there's a shelter that sets up at one of the pet stores in town.
Wet pets.
No, these pets were not wet.
Okay.
I was not going to drive to San Pablo to get a cat. There are cats everywhere.
Scorpions.
Yeah. And we had been talking about getting another cat. Well, our cat is our other cat is fine. You know, like has some medical needs and stuff. We're like, oh, you know, maybe we would kind of pep up, you know, to have a little youngster around the house, or maybe they'll tear each other apart. So they haven't seen each other, or they haven't seen much of each other, because they were very like, okay, for 5 days, keep these cats separate. Don't even let them see each other. And rub a washcloth on the back of their neck and put it near the other one's food to get used to the smells and all that other stuff. But our cat knows that there is suddenly another cat in the house, and she's like concerned, interested. It's a
But
range.
not like aggressive.
No,
Okay.
like a little bit of a low growl here and there, but
Okay.
that also, this cat has been around other cats before, has lived with up to 2 other cats in the past without much incident. So we're hoping
That could be a good sign.
that if we can make this work. But yeah, so I've had a kitten that is, we believe, about 3 months old, 3 to 5 maybe, in the room with all my video game stuff and all the cables and cords, and he's been jumping behind my PC, and like it's specifically the Oculus Rift sensors. Those USB cables have little, you know, like it's just some tag on the end of the cord that says something dumb on it about like whatever legal UL electricity, whatever. And those little flippy tags off that thing, he just wants to eat those. Has not chewed on cables per se yet, and we've got enough toys to kind of keep him. But it's like for the next couple of days here, while he is just locked in that room, I'm just like, okay, what are you gonna break? What are you gonna choose through this PlayStation VR cord? You know, like what's going on? And it's been fine so far, but also it's made it impossible for me to play games for any length of time because
It requires
that
attention.
cat is fucking better than these damn video games.
I grew up a dog person, and then recently my partner got 2 cats last year, and I'm like full on feline person now. Like I love cats.
Yeah.
Like I never got it before.
You're
like
in the cat camp?
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
cats I liked, like my friends that had cats, and I like grew up allergic.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's just gone now, or
Right.
if there's certain dander. I don't know. But now that we have 2 cats, one has a cataract in one eye, so he's cross-eyed in just that eye, and it's the cutest fucking thing ever.
Nice.
Yeah. He's also the runt of the litter, so he's tiny. And he's this like tiny black cat. And then the other one, you mentioned the tags on like the wire. the other one, Desi, he is perpetually trying to chew on plastic, specifically like straws. He will freak out. He'll get that like I don't know what it is. Apparently, it's something that like dogs can get too. Like they need to like bite into something like that. It's like an urge. But he'll get a straw.
I get that sometimes.
Yeah,
is that weird?
I do too.
Yeah.
Pete Brown like makes fun of me for it, but I get it. Like I wore a lot of enamel off my teeth when I was younger because I would just like chew on plastic water bottle caps.
Yep. It happens. I've outgrown it.
Didn't expect to go there, but
this is a safe place. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
It's like it's the thing about plastic straws getting abolished that I'm personally like, well, what am I supposed to?
Motherfucker,
like,
don't do
chew on
that.
these fucking straws.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been great, but also like having all of a cat in one room means that room is hot because it's got 2 PCs and a 4K TV in it. And all the consoles and all the other stuff. So that room gets hot on its own. The door has to be shut, so the temperature goes up exponentially at that point. And then it is a cat, a litter box, and food.
Oh,
and
it's got to smell great.
Oh, yeah. You walk in that room, you're like, whoa.
And all the heat you're generating while you game is just...
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. Like, I am... That's a heated gaming moment, right? I'm having one of those like every 10 minutes.
You just don't stream. That's your answer.
Exactly. Yeah. It's been awesome. And yeah, in a couple of days here, we're going to let those cats see each other on the other side of a baby gate for a little bit. And
it's like a rivalry.
Yeah, and kind of see
it.
how that goes and kind of move forward from there. So
set up a webcam.
Yeah.
Salty bet.
No, God damn it. The hope is that it will all work out and be fine.
When I got my dog, we grew up with cats only, and then I was about 9. We got a dog, we brought it home, and we had this cat who was just a motherfucker. He was like 12 years old, huge, didn't take any shit from any of the other cats, very obviously like the alpha male of the house.
Yeah.
Dog walks in within 5 minutes. We didn't get any like warnings. Here's what you're supposed to do. We just like, let's put this dog in with these cats.
Yeah.
German Shepherd puppy walks up to the cat. The cat looks at it once and just reels back and swings at her. My dog takes a chunk out of her ear. We had to like, take her to the vet. They had to sew it back on, put a cone on, and from that moment on, the dog knew its place in the house. And like they got along after that, but it was very much just like, hey, I'm the boss here.
This is how this is gonna go. Yeah. Step the fuck back.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like John Travolta in Nicolas Cage in prison in Face Off.
Ben, you play anything you want to bring to the table?
Nothing really new that I can talk about outside of the Soul Calibur 6 network test that happened this weekend. It was, as far as network tests, it was pretty cool because they had like 16 characters in there.
That's a lot. Like I was figuring, when they say network test, you think like, oh, it'll be like one,
like a couple old characters and maybe 2 new
yeah,
ones.
Yeah.
But no, they had Geralt in there. They had pretty much all the mainstays from the franchise. Groh, I think, is the other new character. That's not a Witcher. But yeah, I mean, so I didn't play much Soul Calibur 5. But from what I understand, people weren't that big of a fan on it. I keep kind of glancing over at Jason, hoping he had some.
I liked that game quite a bit. Actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
This one kind of feels like sort of it's trying to do what Tekken did, Tekken 7 specifically,
right,
in terms of kind of reining things back in a little bit. You know, it's still that same, you got a horizontal move, vertical move, kick. There's not a lot new in terms of mechanics other than this.
There's like 2 or 3 things. It's like you've got a super and you've got
you got a super, and then you've got like a super that powers you up, which every character has, kind of like
a buff of sorts.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess I'm saying that those like they're new systems, but then I'm remembering that like
I
don't remember anything about 2 through 5. Maybe that's important.
Yoda was in there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they put Yoda. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, as someone who,
2, right?
Yeah, is like who like maybe I reviewed 2, I don't know, but like got less interested with it as it went. By the time 5 went around, like I don't know, like all I remember is like, oh, Yoda sucked.
5, the one that Yoda was
like all those guest characters were always in 4.
4 was the one with Yoda and Darth Vader. 5 was Ezio.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay.
And just like 2 other.
Soul Calibur 2 is one I played a ton, and that was Link on GameCube.
Yeah.
Xbox
that was the big one.
Spawn.
PS2 was
Heihachi.
Heihachi. Yeah.
Which is like fucking powerhouse of
I know that was
guest
great,
characters.
yeah.
Some of the best guest characters. of fighting games. But this kind of feels simplified in a few ways, which I appreciate. It feels very beginner friendly. It feels like anyone can just kind of hop in. I was playing online, and I could tell I was up against people of a very wide skill range of people like who fucking love Soul Calibur and other people who were just kind of mashing. And yeah, the network, the quality of the online itself was low, but that's because I was having trouble matching with anyone at 4 bars or higher.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to open it up.
So I had to pretty much open it up. Well, I don't know if it's because there weren't a lot of people playing it or just how their test was going.
Like we were talking about it a bit on UPF on Friday that it sounds like the name of that thing was such that it was hard to find in the store for some people. So
like I had to read an article about how like it's called Soul Calibur Network Test, and not again, people were typing in Soul Calibur 6 looking for it.
Yeah.
Apparently if you type in Soul Calibur 6, that doesn't even show up because it's
6
VI.
doesn't appear in the name of the network test.
This is the sort of stuff you would think that these storefronts would have gotten better at by now, but hey.
Did I hear correctly that one of the characters in the network test is a paid DLC character when the game actually launches?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That was?
That's
Is
That's
that
strange.
weird? Or?
That's
that is
kind of a
weird.
gotcha. Yeah.
That's kind of like how in Cross Tag, all the story characters, like half of the story characters you
You
run
get
into
to-
were DLC characters that were planned.
Sure.
Like I don't know, maybe they just need to actually test that character in the game,
No.
which I'm sure they haven't done by
It's-
now when
it's
the
a
game comes
network
out.
test.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's a vessel for them to say, "Oh, you like this character,
Yeah,
right?
okay,
Oh,
yeah.
well, you should probably pre-order that."
You
Yeah.
know, like man, like I feel like we're a long way from the days when people were like angry about on-disc DLC.
Yeah.
Where we're at a point now where it's like, oh, well, this is how fighting games work now in terms of seasons and characters and all that other stuff. Like, I'm with you. It's still kind of fucking.
We've got
shitty,
with Rob Handler, we have just like this weekly show called Grave Hoppers where we just like put permadeath in everything, and then like you die in one game and you just move on to the next. And we played Ground Zeroes the other day before we went, because we're gonna, if I survive, we'll go to Phantom Pain, but people are still salty about like, oh, this was gonna be in Phantom Pain. Kojima just cut it and sold it to people. I forgot that was a thing too, and people are still annoyed about that in the comments in 2018 about Ground Zeroes.
Weird.
You should try talking about Destiny on the internet once in a while. See what kind of reaction you get from people.
I'm good. But yeah, it seems like just a fucking solid Soul Calibur game, which is what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Like, looking forward to the full release.
Yeah, the new mechanic that they have, it's kind of a...
That's that rock paper scissorsy kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it adds like a little bit of armor as well. So if you just, if you're expecting an attack to come in, you throw that out, and then you have the little rock, paper, scissors mini game. It's not like played out like rock, paper, scissors. But
It's not a mini game like the way like NetherRealm would. It's not
Exactly,
like an Injustice
yeah.
thing. It's
It's just kind of both characters looking at each other for a second. You pick your move, and you see who comes out on top.
Yep.
I've been like trying to dabble more in fighting games the last few years. I played a lot of Injustice 2, and I used to play like Soul Calibur 2 and early Tekken games. But like if you were to like describe what makes Soul Calibur games distinct from other fighting games, is it like the weapon-based combat?
Okay. Yeah, it's a 3D weapon-based combat.
Okay.
There's always guest characters as well.
It's
I do want
the 8-way run stuff. They made it very easy to sidestep attacks and stuff that a lot of other 3D fighters haven't always done.
Because I want to jump into 6. I think that's October 16th, something ish.
Yeah, that sounds.
I want to jump
pretty
into
soon.
it, and I haven't played those games since Soul Calibur 2, when we would put on infinite health and you could only win by ring outs.
Yeah.
with Keelik or however you say it, the staff. Yeah.
And I'm actually quite interested. I was reading up on the single player for that game, and it sounds like it's this whole thing that starts before the first game and ends after the last game. It's kind of like a history of Soul Calibur that's going to have every character from every Soul Calibur is going to be obviously not playable because certain characters aren't in the game, but it seems like
Just let them get their season pass out. And, yeah.
I wonder if that's going to include Star Wars characters.
Everyone's here.
Everyone is here.
Yoda.
The fact that it's going to be like a history of is not too entirely surprising to me, because they had to really work to get this game made. Like they do some convincing in order
Really?
to, it was, I mean, if
Just,
you remember the past
like
couple
internally?
internally,
Yeah.
from what, they've gone on record to say that
Yeah.
it was a challenge to get this greenlit. So this very well could be, you know.
I feel like
Soul
that, like
Calibur.
I can't necessarily blame Namco for being a little reluctant with how that series has gone over the years.
Yeah.
But you have to imagine
especially
that
the
like
last couple iterations.
Right.
And this was before like the popularity of Tekken 7
I
and
imagine
Dragon Ball
like
and
Tekken probably builds a really strong case for them to say like, hey, it turns out taking it kind of like not back to basics, but like, hey, we can make a good solid Tekken game that anyone can enjoy, just like those first few games used to be.
Yeah.
It probably helps build the case of just like, oh well, okay, let's try it with Soul Calibur now, and try to take a similar approach.
Fingers crossed. Game looks great.
Yeah.
It seems all right. I feel like every time with every post Soul Calibur game, it's like I play Mitsurugi for 3 hours and go like, cool.
Yeah.
And then fuck around with like Maxi or something just to be a
Branch
dick.
out,
and
man.
then-
Come on.
I just don't like the
Yeah.
game enough to want to branch out. Like that's typically been the thing. Like I want to give this a shot and kind of try to go in clean because it has been a long time. But I guess I feel more receptive to this than I have any other Soul Calibur game.
Okay.
So
I've been big into
something.
what's his name?
Zazasamel.
Zazasamel. He's got a cool scythe.
So, yeah.
There's what's his name? Voldo has a costume or skin or whatever
Oh,
that's
jeez.
just got a butt flap.
Yeah,
Nice.
that
Good.
sounds very Voldo.
That's
Yeah.
right up Voldo's
right up
alley.
Voldo's
He
something.
lets his ass breathe.
Yeah.
You got it when you fight. It gets sweaty down there. You got to make sure you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
airflow.
It's swampy down there.
Makes
So yeah, it's
sense.
a nasty time.
Right.
Well, thank you for giving me the floor.
Yeah.
I dusted off the PlayStation VR and tried out that Astrobot game.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Astro Boy. This is like
Right, no, this
one of the
is
little
the-
robots from the Playroom.
Right.
Remember that thing?
Yeah.
I guess they gave it a name.
Is it the one with like? It kind of looks like Toonami's
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Rob.
Probably.
The little,
Yes.
the little black and white robots with the
Yeah. Okay.
goofy
With
faces.
the VR
The
headset.
VR. I was
looking
gonna say
heads.
those heads like a VR.
I mean, the beginning of this thing, an evil alien comes and steals the VR headset and puts it on, and it turns into an evil face.
That's
That,
fucked
So-
up.
is that
that.
evil alien Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah.
It's a platformer. Like I played it because the reviews came out yesterday and were like weirdly positive.
Yeah, I saw this game pre-release and was like, this seems like interesting, but it didn't necessarily stick out to me.
It's cool. It's not like, it's not a game changer for VR or anything like
Sure.
that. But the levels are very sort of narrow and long, and you look down them like a hallway.
Crash
if that makes
Bandicoot.
sense.
Like?
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Huh.
Yeah. That's actually a good. I mean, there's a lot more lateral movement as you go through them, though. It's not just
Okay.
a crash. You just kind of run.
Right.
But you can't change the camera angle at all. So anything you want to look at side to side or behind you, you have to just twist your body. But it's a
okay.
dual shot game, so you're probably sitting, but then if something is all the way behind you, you're like trying to do a 180 on the couch.
Is there ever any actual gameplay stuff that's behind you that
Not-
you care about, or are you just
so
looking around to go like, what does this thing look
They
like
do
from
a lot
behind?
of they do a lot of perspective stuff. So it's almost a Mario 64 thing of like there are 200 and something robots kidnapped that you have to save throughout the game. So every level there's like 8 that you have to find or whatever.
Okay.
So they definitely do a lot of perspective stuff of like, oh, there's one way down. You have to like lean forward and look down this cliff, and there'll be one kind of hidden down there.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, basically it uses Super Mario Brothers camera rules, meaning that when you advance in the level,
Meaning that Super Mario Brothers camera rules.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right.
But no, like
Shout out to
when
Lakitu.
like when you push the camera forward, you can't go back.
yeah.
Like the camera locks to the last place you got to. So there's been cases where I went like halfway through the level, happened to turn around and see like a robot that I missed,
Yeah.
and like ran the little dude back to the point that he was like 3 pixels tall. I could just
Oh,
barely
wow.
see what he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's kind of weird, but it looks super nice. Like Sony's obviously putting money into their VR games
Yeah.
in a way that not
They're
a
kind
lot
of hitting their stride right now with
like
VR.
there's production values in some of the stuff they're putting out that you don't see on the PC that often. Like this thing has got some fantastic animation and stuff.
Cool.
But it's like a very straightforward,
Yeah.
You've got a jump and a hover. You've got a basic melee attack. That's kind of it. Like
Mhm.
there's some clever level design in there, but it's pretty straightforward.
Sounds like they've put out some patches for Firewall to kind of correct some matchmaking issues and some other stuff like that. Like a patch sounds interesting.
I took like PSVR 4.1, I think, on this headset.
Oh,
It was on 3 point something. Still getting the same issues though.
Great.
Still have like the drift to the side over
Yep.
the course of playing the game. So
Yep.
yeah, it's kind of cool though. All right, I guess that's it for games.
Oh,
Unless you
real
got
quick,
anything
actually,
else?
yeah, I've been playing this is North Star.
Oh,
Lost Paradise.
right.
God,
Yeah.
right. The Yakuza Fist,
Yeah.
Fist of the Yakuza.
Yes, yeah, something like that. So
It's about time they made a new Last Battle game.
with that pedigree, you're expecting this very like irreverent kind of goofy game.
Yeah, because it is the
probably.
same studio, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we played the demo and we went through the battle tutorial, and at the end of this, they showed this just like sizzle reel of all this goofy shit that was going on. I just wanted to give people a heads up. It's not all like that, and that's kind of a shame because I was expecting more of that. They play it pretty close to. I don't know. The heart of like Fist of the North Star is this dark, gritty. Like Kenshiro is this fucking like one-word meathead. For the most part.
Set in like a post-apocalypse.
Yeah, set in a post-apocalypse. It's extremely violent, especially back in the 80s.
Compare and contrast him with Gene from God Hand.
Gene's definitely more goofy.
Okay.
Gene's kind of a blabbermouth at times.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. Kenshiro, on the other hand, he's got a few like go-to responses, and that's like, yeah, or like a one word, like it repeats exactly what he just heard, or an ellipses. He's a fan of the ellipses. So,
he's like if Kiryu lost all emotion.
yeah, and personality. I'm really torn on this game because every once in a while they will give me something really goofy and fun.
Like that demo was eye-opening.
Yeah.
But then actually, you know what? You played some more. Like that boss fight is crazy in that demo, and then you got to the part where you ran around the town, and it was like, oh.
And it ground down to a halt.
Yes. So
And-
like everything just screeched to a halt.
Yep.
Got kind of boring.
Yeah, and each time you get to some momentum, like some plot point in the story where you're gonna finally do something, you're like you have 5 other side missions that are thrown at you. So you're like just walking down the street. All of a sudden, one of your dudes is like going crazy, and you've got to find medical help for him. And there's a sense of urgency, but at the same time, it's like they throw a couple of mini games at you. Make sure you do those before you save your friend or
Like
whatever.
karaoke.
But the combat in this game is little more than just like a button masher at first. The building blocks that they give you is really little more than that. And it's unfortunately, it'll open up, but not till much later in the game. And it still doesn't give you the stuff that I would consider to be like a good brawler.
Okay.
We'll go into it in the quick look. We'll do one for sure. But right now, I'm really torn with it because they'll give me a taste of something awesome, and then just like 2 hours of nothing.
I feel an analogy coming on here. Would you say this game is the Legend of Korra to Yakuza's like Bayonetta?
Oh,
like
man.
is this the kind of B tier game from the cool studio?
Yeah, maybe.
That doesn't quite capitalize on all their strengths.
Legend of Korra game in a minute.
Yeah. I mean, that's the classic example of like, oh, Platinum's making that. Oh shit. And then you play it and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, we should we'll take a look at that on video.
And like I would talk about like all the like cool mini games and stuff, but those are like the high points of the game so far.
How's the story though? Because like that's as someone who
So it's set in a
like
in
I'm
an alternate
interested in
universe,
the
right?
idea of Fist of the North Star.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of episodes of that. I don't think I want to watch that. Can I get something?
It has not aged well.
Okay.
I'll say that.
It's a little
but
dry.
even the story in this is rather dry. Like it's set in an alternate universe, so it's a different timeline or whatever. But it doesn't really go anywhere. You're introduced to this new town or whatever, and you're still looking for your lost love, and you find out that she's there. And then once you find out that she's there,
you punch a bunch of people.
yeah. And it's just punching and it's punching and it's punching, watching dudes blow up, which is great the first couple times, but then on the 500th dude that you make blow up, so it's getting a bit old.
Speaking of dudes blowing up, Let It Die came to PC.
I
I
saw
downloaded
that.
that and started messing with it a little bit.
Rad.
Looks great.
I want to check that out. I think I'd rather be playing that.
Yeah, I haven't played that since not long after. Like I played that for like the first month it was out on PS4, and seems like they added a lot to it over time. I don't know if any of it's super meaningful, but
I want to give that a shot.
kind of just getting into it over and over again, starting over. I hope that game's good because Uncle Death is good.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with Uncle Death.
No, that dude.
What about Uncle Amiibo? Who's the better uncle?
Uncle of the Year, Uncle Amiibo or Uncle Death? I'm going Uncle Death.
Okay.
I think because
you don't have to buy anything to see all of what he has to offer.
Uncle Death definitely is trying to sell you some shit. Make no fucking mistake. Let It Die is like fucking all about like, hey, why don't you spend $50 on this pack of fucking medals?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, video games. Let's talk about the news, shall we?
We shall.
Absolutely.
All right.
I love news.
Yeah, well, I've got some for you.
It's just in.
You mean video game news, right?
Act surprised about this news.
Okay.
Definitely have never heard before.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, 10 a.m., 10:04 a.m.
What?
on September 26th.
Where were
tweet
you?
a tweet from the PlayStation account goes out. Cross-platform play comes to PS4 beginning with an open beta for Fortnite today.
What?
With an exclamation point?
No,
With a smiley face?
a period.
With,
With a-
somebody flossing?
With a high five? We did it, gang!
I feel like it was just the most business-like, perfunctory way that you could announce
Oh,
this.
but like the click-through on that to the
But
blog
then, yeah.
post, that's where they're like, the players, we love everybody.
So yeah, John Codera, head of PlayStation, posted to the PlayStation blog at the same time. Here's how it starts. Following a comprehensive evaluation process, SIE has identified a path towards supporting cross-platform features for select third-party content.
Fuck,
They
man.
turned it on.
They found it.
They found the path.
We identified it.
We recognize that PS4 players have been eagerly awaiting an update, and we appreciate the community's continued patience as we have navigated through this issue to find a solution.
So brave of them.
Yeah, the courage, exercising the courage
Yeah.
to let people play together. Yeah, they relented on the Fortnite crossplay stuff. They're sort of implying that this may then come to other games, but they're not saying anything definite.
That's why I mean, they're calling it a beta.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so because it might just not work out. Who knows? It might just be completely broken.
We
gotta shut this
we
down.
decided it was
We
a
gotta
bad
shut it
idea.
down.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the whole kind of to wrap, since this is all coming to an end, the issue was if you created an account on the PS4,
Well,
if you created an
so-
Epic account
There were
for
multiple
PS4,
issues. That was a consequence.
The main issue, okay, so PS4 could play with PC,
Yes.
and then the game came out on Xbox One and eventually came out on Switch, and those could also play with each other and PC.
Right.
But you could not have the PS4 version and the other consoles in the same game.
Like everything could play with everything except for PS4.
And
yes.
Also, there was an issue where if you created your Epic account on PS4, you couldn't use that same
Well,
account.
no,
on
if you
Switch.
attached it.
No, if you attached it. So
Okay.
so I created an Epic account before there was a Fortnite.
Right.
And then I attached it to the PS4 when Fortnite came out there,
Mhm.
and it all worked. Hooray, hooray. But then trying to attach that same account to my Xbox profile to play there, it would bring up an error, and like not a very descriptive one. But basically it was like, hey, you can't use this here because Sony is the actual, and then the Switch version is where that kind of
Yeah,
bubbled
it
over
really
again,
came to a head.
because that launched at E3 while everyone was together to look at each other and go, this is fucking stupid.
Also, the wording on that message was like way more insulting.
Yes,
on the Switch version.
The Switch version's message was different than the Xbox one. A little more indicative of what was going on, I think. And so, yeah, this has been something that's been growing and bubbling up, and
Yeah, like stock prices were swinging based on this
I guess so,
news
yeah.
a little bit,
It's-
and like it's become a thing.
I'm reluctant to point to that, but yeah, at the end of the day, like
Analysts were weighing in. I mean, it became a
Yeah.
business story in addition
Yes.
to like a player-focused one.
definitely, and it was a great opportunity for Microsoft to get out there and talk about how they love everybody, because of course they do. And so they were other players were able to play it up at Sony's expense along the way. You got some choice quotes out of like guys like Todd Howard, because you have like people ask like, oh, is Fallout 76 gonna be cross-platform? And I think his quote was something along the lines of like, well, Sony isn't as cooperative as we would like. So, so it became public knowledge also, because there are plenty of cases where there's like business shit where one company is to blame for a thing not happening, but it doesn't always see the light of day.
Yeah.
This was like everyone became very brazen in their willingness to say, yeah, Sony's fucking stupid.
And I think part of that has to do with like, didn't it accidentally get turned on at
Yes.
one point?
Yes, it did. So they had like, oh, whoops, we had a misconfiguration, and the PlayStation players might have seen Xbox. So you knew all along that it just worked.
It was like a switch.
I
mean, it might not be that simple, but
right, but
So when you cross-play Fortnite on multiple consoles in the same match, what usernames are being displayed? Is it everybody's Epic name?
It would have to be your Epic name at
Okay.
that point, I
Yeah.
assume. Like
Okay.
I should say here, not a Fortnite expert.
Sure.
Not playing a ton of Fortnite over here. So
You're
I'm
waiting
not,
for season 6.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that rolled out. So
You're waiting for season 7.
I'm waiting for season 8.
Yeah, like
I'm serious shit.
Like I'm just wondering. I mean,
you can thank the bus driver. Season 8.
Season 8.
You could fuck the bus driver.
Whoa.
They're gonna untilt the towers.
Yeah.
Wasn't Psyonix for a while also saying like,
yeah,
we're ready to go if Sony
basically.
lets us? They're just waiting for permission.
So-
from our
and that's my
parents.
money's on that being the next game that sees it, because they're probably the most
Probably.
ready.
So Kotaku got out there and did the legwork of asking a bunch of studios, how this affects them. Jeremy Dunham over at Psyonix gave them a reply. We're really happy for the PlayStation and Fortnite communities and think this is a great step forward. We know that Rocket League players and our own community want to know what this means for them as well, but we don't have any update at the moment. In the meantime, we recommend reaching out to PlayStation directly for any further comment.
Stop annoying us.
Hey, maybe let them know if you want to play Rocket League crossplay.
That's also, but
maybe I wonder if does that sound like they have not gotten the green light yet?
No, probably not.
Because they're only doing
but even if they
Fortnite
did,
right now.
it's only Fortnite right now, and they're calling it a beta.
But that doesn't mean that business couldn't be happening behind the scenes
totally.
to
It just
let
means
them
there's
in
nothing
too.
to announce.
But
But I'm sure, like the day this gets announced, if not the months leading up to it, I'd heard a little bit that sounded like this was going to happen. Anyway. Obviously, this happening, any publisher with a game that would benefit from this, or where they've already done the work in other cases, like Rocket League has, they're gonna call the rep meeting and go like, "Hey, so put us on the fucking list. Like, let's go. Like, we want to be next." Rocket League seems like the most no-brainer game for that list.
Yeah. But they also got out there. They talked to Activision Blizzard.
Oh, about like Call of Duty
about
and stuff.
Overwatch. Diablo.
Diablo would make sense, I
Much
guess.
stuff.
That'd be cool.
They said we've had a great experience with crossplay for Hearthstone on other platforms and have witnessed how compelling it can be for our community. There's still a lot of work to do on both our side and the platform side to understand whether crossplay might be integrated into our other games.
I feel like we had this all figured out with that shitty 2006 Shadowrun reboot. I was playing with my friend on between PS3 and 360.
Well, that
was PC and
PC.
360.
That was Microsoft to Microsoft. Like that was all technically the same.
Well, that ruins that.
Yeah.
So never mind.
But Microsoft even said, we would love to bring players on PlayStation 4 into our Minecraft ecosystem as well, but have nothing to share
the Switch
at this time.
stuff, like all that stuff talks to each other.
Yeah.
So, Microsoft would be another company on the list, as crazy as that is. But,
but I mean, the reason I was asking about like what username shows is, I mean, however overdue this is, like it is kind of unprecedented for PSN and Xbox Live players to be playing against each other. Like that is conceptually
that's
kind of like wild to think about.
Yeah.
However much it's been needed for a long time.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show just how you could look at social media, you look at just the way things have changed in terms of how people use the internet and talk to each other on the internet and all this other stuff. Like leads to a case of just like, oh, they just want to play with their fucking friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like people just want to play with their friends. And there's, I'm not saying that this is like, oh, flip a switch. What the fuck's the problem? Because obviously they have to figure out the business end of it.
Yeah.
In turn, because I want to say, so I then logged in on an Xbox and it connected and worked, and I was able to get into Fortnite, which rang up a bunch of achievements, which was nice because I played the real Fortnite
iPhone.
Yeah. No, that's the
Save the World.
Save the World.
Oh,
yeah, the non-battle royale.
The real Fortnite.
And then I loaded into a battle royale lobby, and I think I wasn't wearing, or so there was a PlayStation Plus like blue outfit that you got for free that I think my character, that last time I played Fortnite, I think my character was wearing, and I don't think it comes into that Xbox version.
Huh.
So I think they took any platform specific, which I think even Rocket League has some platform cars that I don't think appear on the Switch.
Yeah, that would
Batmobile,
I
think, is only on.
They probably just
PS4.
Did they do a Warthog for
Yes.
Xbox?
Yeah.
So
I think
that might not show
when it launched on Xbox One.
So whatever. So I think you show in a generic outfit. You show as default.
That's fine. I mean, there are going to be some concessions.
It seems like such a dumb minor thing, but when you start getting into crossplay and like games where I have to imagine like there's going to be, when you're competing with other people, PvP, the controllers are a big difference for like if you're playing like, I don't know, it's considered like hypothetically Destiny gets that, and you're playing like PvP, like someone on an Xbox versus PS4. Because I remember when Destiny was that point of contention when the PS4, the Pro, and the Xbox One, and then like the people were mad that Bungie was locking the frame rate. But it was like no, just because if like in the off chance there is crossplay or whatever, like they're gonna have an advantage if they have 60 frames over 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
Then it seems like such a minor thing, but I'd much prefer.
But
like,
now
a
you've got the
PlayStation
PC
controller.
being,
Mouse and
unlock
keyboard
frame
and
rate and all that
everything.
other stuff.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
so I play Destiny 2 with a controller, and because of the way they've built that game and its rewards, I'm playing PvP when I do play it to get shit, and I'm actually doing okay.
Yeah.
Like with a controller, I think that maybe just speaks to the design of that game or how they've built it or whatever. It's not as hyper.
There's a
twitchy.
There's a weird stickiness to the PvP in Destiny. I feel like
Yeah.
in terms of
It's
aim
from
assist.
the makers of Halo.
Yeah, I was
aim
gonna say,
assist and
it
stuff like
traces
that.
back
Yeah,
to Halo.
for sure. And so that's not as broken as you'd think it would be. That was always the thing, like even going back to Shadowrun and stuff like that. It was just like, oh, the mouse players, or Quake on the Dreamcast. If you had the Dreamcast mouse, you murdered everybody.
Yeah, there's people in the Siege scene that like YouTubers who play on PC with controllers, and that's like their thing. Which I don't know how you ever do that, because that game is so much about precision.
I imagine does it have any aim assist with a controller on PC? I imagine
no,
it doesn't.
like not in ranked.
Yeah.
If you're playing ranked matches, like
so if you're playing ranked matches with a controller and you're doing well, you're probably fucking good.
really good with a controller.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, because
Yeah.
I'm decent with the mouse and keyboard and that. And I don't know.
Every game's going to have its own considerations for what the cross-compatible
And I think
stuff is.
I think
but-
Fortnite at some point just said, fuck it, because you think about it, that game's on fucking phones.
Yeah.
So
Well,
whatever.
I think they give you kind of opt-in, opt-out sort of
Yeah,
control
so
over.
if-
I want to play against people on mouse and keyboard
I
or
think
not.
The minute you build a party that involves people from a different platform, you are then I think
goes
shuttled
down
off.
But
to,
you can silo yourself off and only
Right.
play. Yeah.
By default, it's that.
Right. So the one addendum to this thing after I don't know if Epic made this announcement officially anywhere, but apparently first it just showed up as a post on the subreddit, kind of unceremoniously for some information that is this important. But they put up a short post on Reddit that says for players who created an extra account to play Fortnite on multiple console platforms. So that's like the problem.
Which was like their recommendation when that error message showed up. Was like, oh, you're gonna have to create another.
That was the problem people have. Like you had to make another one to play on Switch if you had it on PS4 already. We're working on two things. Number one, an account merging feature to combine Battle Royale purchases coming in November. So basically, if you bought stuff on multiple accounts, you can merge them all down.
Two times the battle pass.
Right. Two, enabling unlinking a console from one Fortnite account and relinking to another Fortnite account coming in a few days. I don't know if this post was a few days ago, so I don't know if that's actually out yet or not. But
right.
Basically, like you would be able to unlink your trash throwaway Epic account from, say, the Switch and link your main one to it.
That makes sense.
So basically, they're doing the legwork to fix all of the crappy workarounds they had to use.
Yeah. I just, for me, it's like the tone of Sony's announcement is just so.
It was just really bland,
business focused, and it's like it's weird because like they have this opportunity, and even if it's not the case, because like obviously they got pushed into this. I'm surprised that this is a public facing announcement that they posted on their blog for their audience of players to see. And it is the most business ass thing because you just look at it and go like, this should have been a press release.
Yeah.
And then the one you post on your blog is like, hey everybody, we decided it'd be cool if everyone could play together, and try to own a little bit of the message that you lost.
Yes.
Like try to pull some of it back and try to save some face here.
Yeah,
but
totally.
It's a weird. It's weird. It doesn't.
It's okay. They can talk more about it at PSX.
There's absolutely a way to spin this that makes you look like you put thought into it and you realized it was the best for everybody.
Instead, it's just like, well, there are a lot of business considerations, so we're doing a beta of this thing. We're not really it just sounds like
also,
I don't know, guys.
Also, we're going to make sure it's the best on our platform for this feature that is supposed to be the same thing
There's
everywhere.
one sentence in there. We want to make sure crossplay is best for the PlayStation.
Like it is by definition, it's the same thing.
Fucking what?
I saw this tweet go out, whatever day that was, and just like. I read it, and in my mind, I felt like I saw them just sitting here like this, like cross-platform play is coming. It's just like you could sound a little more positive about this.
Like no one is sitting here thinking that they like dreamed this up and wanted it to happen. Like
no, I know.
The BBC article about it is like Sony caves, basically.
Sure.
It's not a big secret.
I feel like they could have put on a little bit happier of a face.
Yeah. or a friendly player focused face.
Yes.
Like, hey, we
Like
care
Mr.
about our
Tomato,
community.
get him
and
out there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, in other Sony news, they have gotten out there and confirmed that the PlayStation Experience will not be happening this year, which was pretty much assumed already.
Yeah.
At this late date.
The only thing that I thought would make it happen was if like Microsoft announced its thing and they suddenly went like, oh shit.
So I forget which happened first. Did the PSX news come and then the X?
No, it was Xbox.
The Xbox
then
thing got
PSX.
announced, and,
So-
and then
Oh, that's
well,
right.
We were already talking about like, hey, they haven't announced
That's
it.
right.
Wink, wink.
That's right.
And then they got out and confirmed that yes, it's definitely.
But
not
I
happening.
actually during last week's podcast they were doing an Xbox stream where
Yeah.
Phil Spencer was like, "Hey, I'm going to have some news," and they had not
Yeah.
gotten to that news before we ended the show last week. But yeah, I guess that is the news: is that XO18 is happening in Mexico.
My favorite thing about PSX not happening is I saw a screenshot that was like Sony saying, "Oh, well, we're going to talk about letting people change their names at the next PSX."
Yeah.
And this was like right after the last PSX.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
Just anything they can do to get away from that.
Really good.
The
Yeah,
crossplay is all just a smokescreen, so we can't
Yeah.
change our names.
It's actually you're just going to use your Epic name across. Everything uses Unreal anyway. You're gonna have a Unity name also. Yeah, do you have the quote from Layden? Because they did this on a podcast. And like it sounds like the quote from him basically amounts to, "We're not having PSX because we don't have anything."
That's exactly how it comes off.
Well,
he doesn't.
Well, he says like, "Hey, we're already deep into games like Dreams and Days Gone, but it was more like we don't have anything new to."
Yes, it amounts to we don't have enough to talk about.
Think about their E3 showcase, right? It was like focused on 4 games.
Right.
Spider-Man's out.
Yeah.
What it was
Last of Us 2,
which is like they've talked about that
Yeah,
enough. Ghost of Tsushima, same deal. Like not much more to say.
I mean, the point is they don't have anything else this year.
Yeah.
Like there is
No,
nothing
they
else
don't.
to talk about.
But this thing's usually like late.
Well,
enough
it
in
is.
the
It
year
is
that
late.
It
You're
is
right.
not focused
You're right, but
those games. That's a bad look. I don't know. That doesn't seem great. But also, like PSX seemed like a thing that could potentially be really great for their third-party partners that are like, hey, we've got games to announce. It's great that you have a stage where we can show this stuff because people are coming for this big Sony news, but they stick around for all this indie and VR and all this other stuff.
Yeah, and then the Capcom Cup would end the last few years. It was like you'd watch, top 8 for a really good Street Fighter tournament.
Maybe they just realized like, hey, we're actually all the way done with the Vita business, and if we don't need a place to announce Vita games anymore, what's the point of having PSX?
I do appreciate his honesty. At least he says we don't want to set expectations really high and then not deliver on it. It was a hard decision.
I wonder if they're does he say anything about Paris Games Week in there?
Not in this story I've got here.
I wonder.
You've even got stuff like Days Gone could use any push it.
I don't think any push you give Days Gone is going to change.
Days
Gone at this point.
I mean, even like Anthem, same day as Days Gone, from what I remember. They could use something like I'm sure a lot of people play Anthem, but
totally,
especially as many games as got pushed to the first quarter because of Red Dead, or presumably because of Red Dead. There's so many games coming out in January, February.
They've been showing more of a Sekiro than I thought they would. Shadows Die Twice.
Yeah, but I would have figured that like PSX has been really good for third parties.
Yeah.
So for them to kind of bail on it, there were probably some third parties who were not real thrilled about one fewer stage, one less stage for them to show up on.
But at the same time, like they took a drubbing last year after the PSX that kind of had nothing going on. Remember?
It's almost like they took everything that would have been cool there and put it at Paris Games Week.
That's exactly
instead.
what I mean.
So that's why I ask about Paris Games Week, because I assume that if they are going to have anything, it'd be there.
I mean, but it is good that they're conscious that they don't have enough.
I would have focused
to prop this thing up.
I don't know the costs involved. I'm sure that they probably, who knows if they actually made money on PSX long term. Like getting the space, putting it on, all the other stuff costs money. So maybe at some point it's that's got to be a factor as well. But if I had to choose between the two events of like how do I want my console to be viewed? Do I want to be viewed as like, oh, we're in Paris? Or do I want to be viewed as like, we're here with the people putting on this awesome event and everyone's here having a fucking great time? I'm choosing that one every fucking time.
Sure.
Was it last year that it was here? Or no, it was Anaheim.
Anaheim
last
the
year.
last couple years.
SF 2 years
I think
ago.
the first one was here.
Yeah.
And then Vegas.
Yeah. Or was
And
the
then
other
maybe it was the other
way
way
around?
around. I think that's right, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
I get it.
Whatever. It's positioning and like it's perception and all this other weird stuff that maybe doesn't matter at this point because obviously they've sold a lot of PlayStation 4s.
Yeah.
They're doing fine.
I kind of get it. I mean, none of the games they have in the hopper are done enough to show.
Sure.
And they can't ask those teams to crunch another demo 6 months after E3.
Yeah.
When I can see how it is disruptive to their schedule, but
yeah, I think for me it's just like the fan event thing. I think was a really cool idea
totally.
when they started it,
Totally.
and it obviously, I'd say it was probably a pretty direct thing that Microsoft saw and went, oh shit, we should probably bring something like that out too.
Yeah.
And this year they are.
So yeah, like I feel like that is the clearest sign that somebody like Phil Spencer is running the Xbox division now, a guy that was around during the heyday of the 360, like bringing
the GameStop days,
like literally bringing
XO6,
bringing XO back is just like, hey, you know what? Like
we have a name for this already.
Let's like pluck this thing from like when Xbox was on top of the world and bring it back.
Yeah,
it's like a kind of a feel good move. Whatever you think of the platform. They're going to be streaming. They didn't go into a lot of detail about what that's going to be.
Oh, the XO event?
XO18,
they said they'd be streaming stuff.
Yeah, they said they will stream everything, so we'll see what, if anything, they have there. That is November... I lost the date.
November.
Where
it was 10th and 11th? Mexico City?
10th, yes.
Okay.
Yes, there it is. November 10th, so that's not too far off.
Yeah.
I'll try to convince my bosses to send me down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to cover XO.
We got to be on the scene.
2018.
It's a big deal.
Dude, those things were
Master Chief might be there.
Those things were all over the place. Like XO6 was in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I think 7 was in Barcelona. Like those things were.
I guess I'll go to Barcelona. I gotta cover this.
Yeah.
That's the thing about this job. You used to be able to travel a lot more weird places back when publishers had
like I
money to put on events in weird spots. Like Capcom had an event in like fucking
Hawaii.
Monaco.
Oh, Monaco.
Yeah, no,
They had a fan fest in Hawaii.
Yeah,
there's a Black Ops. I've heard stories of a Black Ops 2 one in Hawaii where there was like a fake presidential convoy and they flew people in helicopters.
Yep.
I flew in a helicopter. It was not in Hawaii, but I got in a helicopter in Southern California.
Okay.
To go to a place where they were letting people play Call of Duty.
Oh, maybe.
It was like being on a bus. It just smelled of gas. They gave everybody helmets, but then you got in the helicopter and they were like, "Oh, you don't have to wear them if you don't want to."
Yeah,
like,
if we're crashed, the helmet's not going to help.
Yeah.
There's one going on this week. A weird event. I honestly, I'm not trying to be all mysterious. I just don't know if I could talk about it or not. I'm not going, thankfully, but I think people will hear about it soon enough, and it's weird. I wonder if it's like the influx of more YouTube coverage coming out of the scene. They're going back to weird press trips like that.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with it.
When I first started at GameSpot, I went up to this vineyard for Dark Souls 3 preview. This guy who grew up in Italy, very wealthy here, he decided to reconstruct his childhood home, which is a castle in Napa.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that's probably the weirdest one I've done.
Yeah. It used to be people wrecking jet skis and all types of dumb shit.
I mean,
I went to a Ubisoft event that was a couple blocks away, and they had sandwiches.
Wow, it's exotic.
That sounds awesome.
They were really good sandwiches.
I think I just prefer that because it's close and it's just like, come play these games.
Go home and sleep in your own bed.
Yeah, totally.
We don't need to put on the pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, like the height of that absurdity would be going to Cabo for 3 days to see 3 games.
Yeah,
like that you could have seen across town.
Yeah,
in 2 hours.
Just dumb. Or like, Capcom having an event in Hawaii that is just like, you guys are like 40 minutes away. We could just go there. Like, no, you got to come to Hawaii. Like, all right, I'll come hang out in a dark room with Japanese dudes and look at Resident Evil games, I guess.
So
like,
sorry that you had to go to Hawaii and play cool Capcom games.
It ended up making sense because they were flying a bunch of devs in from Japan. So Hawaii ends up being a sensible place at that point.
That was for
Monaco.
6?
It was halfway.
It was Captivate was always multiple games. I'm trying to think which RE that was. Yeah, that would have been... No, Rome was for 6.
Did he Rome for 6?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And that was where they were showing that. It was the Ninja Theory Devil May Cry game.
I got into this business too late.
Just, if you were just a YouTube influencer, you would be getting helicopters dropping off like Twinkies or whatever the hell else you needed to promote.
Go to Capcom.
Yeah.
Start these events again. If no one else shows up, at least I'll go.
Yeah. That was honestly like half the time it was like PR people with a budget just going like, we decided that this is where we wanted to go
Yeah.
this year, so we planned the event here. And like, all right,
My family's here.
yeah,
This
it's
is my
great.
daughter.
This is awesome. Yeah,
Google has announced Project Stream. Remember that Yeti thing we were talking about a few weeks ago?
yeah.
This is that. You're going to be able to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey in Chrome starting Friday if you get into this beta test.
Okay, so if you get into a beta test and then they provide the, I was wondering,
That-
like, will you have to buy the Uplay version of the game?
That is
or
not
what's
clear
the-
to me.
I imagine if it's a limited beta, then they would probably give you access to the game as part of that.
I think that's how it reads to me. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, you have to sign up for the beta on their site.
Okay.
There are limited spaces available for Project Stream, but if you're interested in participating, you can apply on our website. So yeah, maybe you just actually get to play it for free if you get in.
And then that's how that game is launching on Switch in Japan.
Yeah.
Is as a streaming game.
Yep.
They're doing it.
Yep.
Whether you want it or not, they're doing it.
Tried doing that with Resident Evil 7. I couldn't get it to stream here.
Yeah. I tried doing it with Phantasy Star Online too, and I got in once, and it was terrible.
I think I got I pressed start on the main menu, and then it said like you can't. You're not.
Yeah, it's just
the
internet
connection's
not
too
good
terrible.
enough. Yeah.
Do you think this is one of those things that comes to fruition and then just fades into the background? Like when this news first came out, people were like, "Holy shit, Google's going to make a console!" Like they're getting into the games business. But then, like, is this just going to be you playing existing PC games in a streaming format?
I don't
Like it's just another option to play games that are already out there.
I think for now, but I think this does have potential to, if they keep working on it, supporting it.
It seems like the longer Google takes to like really get into games, the more likely it is that it takes a form like this.
Right.
Because they've been like in Amazon, same deal. Like there's been two companies that are always like, oh, you just hear about like, oh, they got these gaming projects in the works, they're doing this, they're doing that, and like Amazon at some point was supposedly had game hardware. Google at some point supposedly had game hardware.
Right. Isn't even Apple saying that recently?
You
in the last
always
couple
you're always
years?
hearing
Yeah, like
rumors.
the number of people that like were working on high profile mobile games that could tell you about like, oh, Apple's controller is really good.
Yeah.
And you're like, where is it? What is like? Oh, I guess they just scrapped it again. Like the number of different times that stuff has happened is weird.
Everybody's got their N-Gage.
Yeah. Well, we're like less than a week away from the 15-year anniversary of the N-Gage.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. Never more relevant.
Engage.
Oh.
Don't patronize me. This is a real fucking mind bender event. It's like I just thought it was a stupid.
I didn't.
No, you're right. It is a stupid.
I didn't get it until you just said that either. But
Thank you.
I think I'm.
Because it's engaging.
Yeah.
No. I don't know if I go that far.
They wanted it to be engaging.
Yeah. Okay. N-Gage QD.
What does QD
Break that
stand
down.
for?
Cutie.
It's a cutie. It's a little one.
For every date, I say to myself, engage QT.
Yeah.
I've gone on 3 dates.
How have they gone?
Bad.
Oh. We should do some side talking.
Yeah, we probably should. Is that site still up?
Yes. Sidetalking.com is still up. I was looking at it last week.
Wow.
What?
It sure is.
What is this?
This is
Hey, there's a friend of mine
yeah.
on the front page.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, and then just like see the end loop, click on page QD.
You know what? Don't explain.
There's a lot of
the N-Gage, the original model of the N-Gage that they eventually redesigned. The original model.
Oh man, I forgot. They have a whole page of animals that are side talking.
The whole point of the whole thing with the N-Gage is that the phone parts of it were on like the top of it. And you
on the
held
edge.
the edge. So you held the side of it up to your face
Okay.
to talk on it instead of the buttons.
Yeah.
Like this is how you talked on an N-Gage.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And by holding this taco-shaped object up to your face, inspired, I guess you would call it a meme nowadays.
Yes, this was pre
of people taking pictures of them holding dumb shit like up to their face.
This was in the pre-memetic days.
Yeah.
These people are side talking with animals.
And so the first, the N-Gage was already a joke by that point. And so they released the N-Gage QD, which was a redesigned N-Gage that you could talk into directly and didn't have to hold it on your side. And so they sent out QDs to sites like ours to review N-Gage games because that was a thing we occasionally did. And the only reason I was excited about getting it was so that I could immediately take a photo of myself side talking on a QD and send it to the people behind this site. And that felt good.
Okay.
Did it
It's,
really?
hey, the picture's still there. Still feels good.
That's true.
Every time I go back and look at it, I'm like, ha, yeah,
That's fair.
fucking Engage. It's a terrible platform for video games.
Yeah.
I
But at
still
the same
remember
time-
the ads from like Game Informer issues
Yeah.
way back in the day.
Was the QD even a new platform, or was it
No,
just
it was,
a new
just,
form
it was
factor?
just a new form factor.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
the exact same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the same time, like if you wanted to play Pandemonium on a phone, you could, and it was weirdly like,
Didn't they have like an OK Tony Hawk?
yeah, Tony Hawk and Pandemonium came out, and like a couple of other like polygonal games that you're like, this is a terrible aspect ratio to play these games in, and it doesn't run great, and they don't control well. But
Yeah.
I guess you're kind of doing it. I don't know. We should get an Engage in here.
Hell yeah.
They were 10 years too early.
Yeah,
Oculus announced another headset,
yeah.
the Quest. It's $399.
This is the Santa Cruz.
Yeah, this is
Prototype.
formerly known as Project Santa Cruz. If you've been keeping up with that
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
We talked about it a
But,
bit
Yeah,
on the after show
Right.
last week.
it's standalone. Like I didn't know that because I don't really pay attention to their development roadmap or whatever. But I saw this going around. I was like, oh shit, is that the new Rift? Is that the next headset? But no.
No, it's an all-in, device. It doesn't. You don't hook it up to a PC.
Yeah.
You just bolt it to your face. It'll work with existing touch controllers, I guess.
Okay.
If you want,
And
and I don't know if they have new controllers or if there's a different one or yeah. But all the tracking is built into the headset.
Yeah.
How do the joysticks work then?
How do the what?
Because you need the sensors for the joysticks to work.
No, well the
like
sensors
touch
are in
sensors.
the sensors are in the headset.
Okay.
So it's inside out tracking is what they call it, because it's from the inside of the center of view out to the world.
Right.
And so they map things that way. Instead of sensors mapping in,
Yeah.
the headset maps out. And so it sees the controllers because you're holding them in your hand
Okay.
and dancing around. I think it's roughly the same optics as the Oculus Go,
it is.
but it is a more powerful device inside.
Yes. I think they said it's going to offer like Rift-like experiences. Is
It's
the,
such a weird
the term that they
Like, I don't-
used, but
yeah,
like how does
like,
that make
that's
sense?
Not, yeah, like
Like you can hook a Rift up to a 1080.
right.
That's
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I'd say a lot of VR games are dealing in abstract things that don't necessarily need hyper high-end graphics hardware to operate,
That's
especially at that resolution.
Sure.
But it does need the frame rate, so it needs to be powerful enough. Whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be probably better than the Go, but probably not what you're going to get on a fully fledged PC.
that sounds right.
But that's still like, was it like $400?
yes. So I was looking for pricing because it's $399 for the 64 gig model.
Yeah.
Which are we assuming that's not expandable? Because that doesn't sound like much
Doesn't sound like much.
to install video games into.
Rift-like experiences can mean a lot of things in terms of size and scope.
Yeah.
The 64 gigs might not be great. But
How about Darth Vader? Anyone?
like Force Unleashed is coming to
Yep.
VR.
That's right.
Soul Calibur 4.
Oh,
Any Darth Vader fans in the house?
Yeah,
They announced
sure.
they announced something
cool.
called Vader Immortal.
Oh
which
yeah, that's right.
Sounds like some kind of
no, that's I don't know if you saw those movies, but Darth Vader is not immortal.
definitely not.
He dies.
Yeah,
That's
like nobly in a weird kind of moment at the end there. Like there's kind of a turn where he's like, "Oh shit, I'm a dumbass."
sorry, y'all.
everybody.
My bad. I screwed up.
Everybody always becomes better right before they die.
Yeah.
That's on Oculus.
Yes. Like people got excited when they announced that, but they have since
Yeah.
clarified. I think they're calling it a narrative experience, not a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think some sites were initially just saying new Star Wars game announced, and then leaving it at that until you click into the story.
Awesome.
Yeah. I won't say what sites,
okay.
but
I hear new Star Wars game is pretty high on the
Yeah,
charts for things people click on these days.
that's one of those phrases where they're like, yeah, I don't know. Wait, there's a Soul Calibur 6 is on the way. We'll just, I don't know, make the headline new Star Wars game.
New
and
Star
see what
Wars
people say.
game. Featuring Fortnite porn. Oh God, I gotta click.
Okay, great. All right, this is the new Giant Bomb SEO strategy. I love it.
Every headline ends in Fortnite porn.
Yeah, new Star Wars game / Fortnite porn is the new headline for every
It's the name
story
for this
that-
podcast.
Yeah.
All right, let's get down to the important news. Skullomania is coming to SNK Heroines.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't.
Damn it.
One of the best fighting characters in one of the worst fighting games. Great.
What a weird like. What does Street Fighter EX? What is that character like? It's just such a strange
guest
crossover.
character. Like, you know,
I know.
Geese showed up in Tekken.
I
All
know.
fucking bets are off.
I
like
know.
it's.
I'm fine with a lady version of a Skullomania.
I'm more than fine with it.
I am not fine with her in this game.
More like Skull Lady.
Nope.
No.
I had a no, not gonna.
No.
Yeah, just gonna go with what you said and not try to improve on it. Go on.
That's all I've got.
Skirtomania.
Yeah, sure. Let's go there. That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah, Skirtomania. That's what I was thinking. Great. Perfect.
So not going to change any opinions about SNK heroines.
No, it's if anything, it's just depressing because like.
Is it going to change any opinions about Skullomania?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Skullomania Immortal is my narrative VR experience that I'm working on.
Okay.
New Skullomania game.
Yeah, you get to live the Skullo dream virtually.
By playing a little bit of the story mode of that game, none of those characters are there by choice, so I can't place blame.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's a good point. Okay.
That should have been whatever. It sounds like that there are people that like the way that game plays.
Yeah, they were pretty vocal. In our
There were
quick
some
look.
comments on the quick look of people going, actually, this game's really fucking good. And
I'm not a pervert.
And I wanted to write, I'd be like, actually, it's fucking not. But okay, fucking love it. I don't give a shit. Be wrong. It's great.
That's fine if you guys enjoy that game, but we did not.
It's not fine.
No, but it's like whatever. If people want to love that game, love it. Like there's hardcore.
Love a book instead.
Last time I loved a book, well,
Got kicked out of Sunday school.
yeah. And
Yikes.
I said this good book just got real good. No.
Got even better.
Ugh.
All right, last story. Skrillex
Finally,
is doing a song for
talking
Kingdom
about
Hearts
this fucking
3.
shit that matters.
Skrillex is fucking teaming up
Yeah.
with Hikaru Utada to do a song for Kingdom
I'm
Hearts
super
3.
down.
I mean,
What?
Nice.
all of Skrillex's other video game work has been fucking unimpeachable.
What has he done?
The theme song to the Syndicate reboot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Weird.
Yeah.
Which is fucking fantastic.
Huh.
I still think about that game.
It's a great game.
The co-op.
But
mode
is it a
is
great?
fucking awesome.
But is it a great song?
It's a great song.
And is it an appropriate song?
Yes, it is evocative of the
Okay.
original Syndicate theme. It's
You got that. You got Far Cry 3.
yeah, I got Far Cry 3.
What song they do? Just like a
Well, that was
theme?
just
Just do- that
licensed
was just-
music.
yeah.
It was the
But
the
he said hell yes when they came to him with it, which is what is important.
yeah. And the song fit. It was about burning things.
Yeah, you
and
burn the,
it's-
like, weed
You burn the
field.
weed field.
Oh, that was Skrillex.
yeah. That guy.
Gotcha. Okay.
He was apparently he was already going to remix one of her other Kingdom Hearts 3 songs, but now they are teaming
That
up
makes
to
sense that-
straight up
They're
make to
A new
actually
song.
produce a fully
And
new
it's got
track.
it's a name, right? It's got a name, right?
Simple and dirty.
Oh shit!
Don't think twice.
Simple
is
and
the
filthy, complicated,
one they were
and
going to
fucked
remix.
up.
Face My Fears is the new song.
All's fair in love and goofy.
Produced by Pooh Bear.
Oh shit!
Anybody?
Pooh Bear, damn son.
He's in Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah,
right?
he's in Kingdom Hearts. So.
Yeah.
I heard for Kingdom Hearts 4 they're getting Danger Mickey Mouse.
Wow.
Okay. That's news.
I'm looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 4. Do you have a release date on that? Or?
Yeah, 2054.
Great.
Right after the Final Fantasy VII remake. Okay. That's actually it for news. Unless anybody has any more thoughts on Skrillex.
They just.
I don't have a problem with Skrillex.
I don't
He's
either.
fine. Yeah.
I don't know. Just this morning, Jake Solomon and Firaxis were they. I'm a big fan of XCOM. For XCOM 2, they are releasing the Legacy Pack. It's DLC that's bridging the gap between XCOM Enemy Unknown and XCOM 2. Releases on October 9th, which is the 20th anniversary of the original XCOM.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Or no, I'm so sorry. 6th anniversary of XCOM Enemy Unknown.
Okay.
And then between then and December 1st, I think, you can download that. It's free DLC on PC for XCOM 2.
nice.
And there's like skirmish mode. I don't know what that is yet. I don't think they've detailed it, but then there's it's like they have a lot of you can set the soundtrack to the original XCOM. It sounds like
That's
John.
cool.
That's
yeah,
cool.
it
That's
sounds awesome. They showed like gameplay of it while it was happening. It seemed like John Carpenter was narrating XCOM 2. But
That's cool.
then
That's
there's
cool.
like specific missions and you got some characters from XCOM 2 that you're playing with. That's
cool.
Yeah, so that's October 9th on PC.
That's neat. It's free?
Yep, if you own it on PC.
Yeah. Cool. All right. That does it for news. How's the Bladders. You need a
I'm good.
Get
I'm
a
good.
nod.
Bladders is
over.
great.
Yeah.
We're
Good.
good.
good to keep going.
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm gonna hold it so we can read some emails
Hold it.
with some urgency. Bombcast@giantbomb.com.
Need
Use
to
the email
evacuate
address.
is strong.
Yep, that's right. I'm gonna evacuate this room in like half an hour.
Okay.
After we read some emails. Joe from New York. Is the Horizon Festival full of a-holes? The Horizon Festival in the Forza Horizon series seems like a good time if you're into racing cars, but the way I see it, it's a bunch of people moving into a country and driving around in loud cars, destroying roads, and smashing people's private property. Then once the festival is over, they leave the locals to clean up and rebuild on their own, kind of like the Olympics.
It's like that Woodstock reboot.
Yeah. I thought about how I would feel if a bunch of people in sports cars showed up in my town and raced around all day and night for a year, doing burnouts in the middle of the road, and driving a Lamborghini through my yard and decimating my fence. Pretty pissed off is how I would feel.
Go down to the city council meeting, complain about it, old man.
Is the Horizon Festival just a bunch of car assholes?
I mean, yes.
Yeah, but they've solved the problem, like, narratively in this game by saying, now the festival never ends.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's just your area. That's your town now.
Yep.
Move
Just
out.
Move.
They
Yeah.
bought your town.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, one racer, like, you are buying up multiple houses around that area. So you have to imagine if every other racer is doing the same thing, then there's barely anybody left. And they're just in their cars driving normal speeds to provide traffic for you. They're working for the festival, presumably.
You get a few of those houses for free for doing some of the jobs up
Yeah,
front.
right,
I
yeah.
imagine those are people that moved out because of this
Yeah.
infinite festival.
Yeah.
Speaking of car assholes, John writes in
Exhaust pipe.
to say, the top Forza stream on Mixer is just a looping demo advertising that you can go AFK and get free XP.
Yep.
Working as intended.
And it started prior to release, so
Yeah.
like it was entrenched. So
Do you have to?
that is the one that I watched to earn influence while I was.
That was crazy. Like it actually popped up, like in the Mixer window. Hey, you just got 500 XP for
Yeah.
fucking doing nothing.
You have to be streaming from the game. You can't just like go in Mixer and set your like game to Forza and it gives you credit, or
I bet you could,
Huh.
but I would like to think, I would assume that Mixer is going to police that and prevent people from. So the loophole is like it's technically someone just streaming out the title screen of
Right.
Forza.
Right.
I don't know. I think they should crack down on that stuff and say like, hey, play the game.
Yeah.
But also, if you think about if you walk that back a step and go, well, what are the incentives for everyone involved? The people on the Forza side of things want more people to know about their game.
Yeah.
The people on the Mixer side would love for more people to know about Mixer.
Yeah.
So everyone
It's
is
a win-win.
incentivized to just let it ride.
Also,
They've
it
got
looks-
bigger numbers.
It looks
Yeah.
good for
Talk about.
it looks good for the numbers to be
Like, oh,
higher.
engagement was up month of Forza release. This is great. We should
Yeah.
do this all the time. Like, oh, well, what about all the people that were just watching some muted stream of a car that was looping?
you are
Like,
getting-
That doesn't matter.
We don't give a fuck.
When you do your quarterly numbers
this
reports.
number was up and to the right. Like, that's all I got.
You are getting dangerously close to pulling back the veil on the dirty secret of marketing. Like it's all smoke and mirrors.
What? No.
As long as somebody thinks the numbers are going up.
There's always that. No, the dirty secret of marketing is that there's always a number that's going up
Right.
somewhere, and it's
Well, the
your
good
job
news is-
to find that number.
Start with that number
Yeah.
and then bury the other stuff. Like, well, actually, there's a...
If you've got no numbers going up, that's when you got a problem.
GameSpot's Fortnite coverage is always going up, so that's good.
yeah, Fortnite's big.
Yeah.
Do you have any hot Fortnite exclusives to break?
From Fortspot? No, we're embargoed for now. Season 6 is still under wraps.
All right.
I think. Is Season 6 out?
I think it's out.
Oh, Season 7. We know all about
Yeah.
that shit. No, I don't know it.
And I've already got the exclusive on Season 8.
Yeah.
Blowing the doors off this
Yeah.
motherfucker, so...
All right, last Forza email, I think. Brian from North Carolina. Forza Horizon 4's video game car homage quest line is great, but I disagreed with some of the choices of the cars themselves, especially what they ranked as number 1. I won't spoil it.
I don't want to know.
In your opinion, though, what is the most iconic single car in all of video games, real or fictional? For real, I would go with the Lamborghini Diablo. Always a great late game car unlock. For fictional, the Warthog? The cart from Mario Kart? I don't even know what the
What's that British car?
Like an Aston Martin or something?
Yes, that's my answer. Is an Aston Martin.
I feel like
In all the James Bond games, it's usually what he drives.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
actually...
one of the Need for Speeds I played a lot of. That was one of my go-to.
I feel like
cars.
didn't that Bugatti take the kind of place of honor in the last few years as like the most exotic racing car.
I guess so, but every
'Cause
year
of
they
Lil
have a
Wayne.
cover car or whatever. There's a
Yeah.
car you get in this one.
Well,
that
yeah,
is
I guess it
some
just depends on who
fucking
you ask.
just expensive nightmare. So I guess without spoiling what it ends with, I actually think the choice they made for most iconic video game car is right. Like what they say in Forza Horizon 4, I can totally sign up for. I think it's like their top 10 list ends up being sort of a cop-out in a few different ways.
Is that the same one that is also that it also includes stuff like let's do the outrun race now
Yeah.
and stuff like that? Okay, it's that list.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
stuff, it doesn't... If you were building that list honestly and not... So there's a little bit of business in that list in terms of it's a fair amount of Sega.
Yeah.
And but Ridge Racer is represented, so there's a little bit of Namco. But like anyway,
Does Captain Falcon's car count as a car?
I will count it as a car. But
I'm gonna say Blue Falcon.
if you're
is
trying
my-
to tell me that is the most iconic car in video games,
for me, yeah, because like it's fast, which is important. B, it looks cool. C, you get to fight on it in Smash Bros. That's it, and it's the best Smash stage. So
I'm going to say the car from Spy Hunter.
that's a very good car. But it was only in like the one franchise. So
It peaked, yeah.
Yes, the answer given in Forza Horizon 4, like I thought about it for a while because at first I was like, man, fuck that. That's a weird cop out that they would do this. What are they even doing? And the more I thought about it, I was like, actually, yeah. When you think about the 80s and think about cars and think about like what the cool car was that showed up in every single piece of media from fucking Transformers on down, you're like, no, that was it. That was the car. That car showed up fucking everywhere.
Now I'm really curious.
Yeah, actually, I can't.
I'm changing my answer to Epona from Link to the Ocarina of Time as best video game
Best car?
Yeah.
Hmm.
You can call it on your Ocarina. It's got its own song.
Would you say Transformers now? That should whittle it down quite a
Stop,
bit, but
I
I
don't
can't
wanna
figure it
know.
out. Like I was alive in the 80s. I'm not sure what. I've got some guesses, but
Yeah.
how late in the game is that whole storyline?
You get to level 40 to unlock the storyline, and then you can just do the whole thing.
Okay.
Then it's just 10 races at that point to see them all.
I feel like this game has got people talking about Forza in a way they have not in years.
Yeah,
Like,
I'd
just
say
eyeballing my
even
Twitter feed
compared
and the
to
number
other
of-
Horizon games.
yeah.
Like it seems like this. You know, and
Either Forza, actually. I mean,
Well,
just
yeah.
like how many emails we got about it and stuff. Like I feel like there is.
think about it, man.
It's back in the conversation.
The genre has fallen apart.
Yeah, yeah.
There are no other racing games. Like if you're gonna rally behind a racing game that is fun to play
Yes.
in the year 2018, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Forza 1 was probably the last time I've heard so much excited buzz about it.
Yeah.
A Forza game.
I don't even like racing game that much, and I played like Forza Horizon 4 all weekend.
Yeah, that's not to sell the actual game short. Like it's not.
Right.
It's not getting buzzed just
Yeah.
because there's not like it's
No,
the only
totally.
one by
It's
default.
a high quality game, but
Yeah.
you know it has been
Yeah.
for some time now.
Okay, straight up, which should I play first, Forza or Assassins?
I would say first probably Forza, because Assassins, if you want to jump in, it's going to take you like 50 hours.
Yeah.
More than that to beat it, but it's a long game. Yeah, Forza I could play for like 20 and be satisfied, I think.
Okay.
Alan in Belfast. Did you hear that Mario Party isn't going to support Pro controllers, only Joy-Cons? That is some bullshit right there.
Nothing professional about that goddamn game.
What the who fucking cares? What I need to fucking keep this snowball on this mountain, and I need a pro controller to do it. Like
man.
whatever, man. Who cares?
Did Nintendo feel the need to justify that?
Well,
don't know.
I think it's that you can't even. I want to say there were some stories going around this last week that you might not even be able to play it at all in handheld mode.
Yeah.
You have to take the Joy-Cons off to
Yeah.
play it all, which, you know, it's a game designed to be played local multiplayer. Like
I have a solution. Don't play Mario
let's hear
Party.
it. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Problem solved.
Let's see. Matthew from Glasgow. Is Spider Cop eligible for Best New Character during this year's Giant
God,
Bomb
no.
Game of the Year Awards? The people need to know in advance so we can either let ourselves down easy or begin the hype.
That's just Spider-Man.
I
That's just Spider-Man doing a bit.
that was
If you want to
One
say
of
have
my
like,
least
if
favorite
we want to do
parts.
best bit of the year.
it was like
It's corny in the exactly right endearing way for how dorky Peter Parker is. Like it in itself is not funny, but him being
it just goes on and on.
Well, I haven't finished the game. I
on
don't know.
and
I don't know how
on.
often it keeps coming back up.
Oh, it just keeps
See,
coming
I got
back
to
up.
a point pretty early on. Okay, that was my next question: is does it keep coming back up?
Oh,
Because
I've
I got
heard
to
it
a
like
point
twice,
where
I
it
think.
seemed like he was hanging it up pretty early in the game, and okay,
I
guess
just
they-
don't get his motivation. Like, he's already a cool superhero. Why does he want to be a detective too?
He doesn't. He's just a goof.
But he's committing so hard to it, and nobody likes it. But he keeps pushing into it, and everyone. I don't know. It just
That's why
it
it's so
seems like it
appropriate
comes
for the
out of-
character.
No, because the character, like Peter, is really empathetic and like he's a really good Samaritan, and he cares so much about
But that
the
is-
world around him.
He can
and
also
what
be a
people-
giant dork, though.
and he is. But I feel like it's just like it's this weird streak where he's like, I'm gonna be funny, but he's never like trying. Like he has his quips,
Yeah.
which are delivered perfectly, I think. But then this whole Spider Cop thing is like, I'm writing this really funny thing, and I don't know. It just really never landed for me, and I was skipping through anytime he started doing Spider Cop by like a couple hours.
But he only did it to like one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
That really hated it. So like,
Yeah.
like I would do Spider Cop for you now, knowing how much you hate it,
There you go.
and really
Like
dig in.
she's like got nothing but disdain for him throughout the game, so you can see why he's just trying to get under her skin.
So I don't know if you guys have heard. Stop me. So Spider-Man's voice actor is Yuri Lowenthal,
Yes.
Mhm.
and he
Yeah.
talks to a
Yes.
woman named Yuri in the game, and then those voice actors are married.
Oh, I didn't know that
yeah,
part.
those two
Oh,
are
that's-
married
yeah.
off. So that he's talking to his wife, calling her Yuri.
That's really goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
Alec in New Orleans. I was looking for some clip art for a PowerPoint presentation, and I stumbled across the weirdest thing. I image searched for tax fraud, and an alarming number of the first results are images depicting Yoshi saying he committed tax fraud. I've attached some of them. I will put these in the notes of the show so you can see them on the website if you're listening to the audio. There are a weird number of images.
So it's a meme.
Sounds like a Berenstain Bears title.
Yeah.
Did Yoshi commit tax fraud and I just missed it, or what? Also, if other video game characters were charged with crimes, what would they be and who committed them?
I feel like Yoshi did commit tax fraud because he wasn't. So he was probably splitting the coins he collected with Mario. Probably not 50-50. They probably worked out a deal.
Yeah.
But he was claiming those as coins that Mario collected and not himself.
Mm-hmm.
Is Yoshi a dependent for Mario? Would you say that, like, you know, on forums would Mario
claim Yoshi? I don't think Mario would claim Yoshi for much of anything, honestly.
See, I think
Yeah,
that
like-
makes it much more complicated.
Yeah.
I could see Yoshi taking out life insurance on Mario and then just fucking killing him.
Vice versa, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Kick that Yoshi
Kind of-
into a hole and be like, "Oh, fell again. Lloyd's of London had this tongue insured."
What kind of economic system is in play in the Mushroom Kingdom?
Seems
Mm.
dicey.
It's like a
It's
coin-based
like a-
economy.
It's like a classical monarchy, right?
I mean, those coins
Like, is
are
it a-
everywhere. So they're got to be useless,
Is it-
right?
is-
Inflationist.
Is the Mushroom Kingdom a feudal society?
They're everywhere, but they're only in places that like a true adventurer would go out to. You don't see toads running around in those levels picking up coins.
Unless you're talking New Donk City, there's people all over that place.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And coins.
That is true. Well, that's not in the Mushroom Kingdom.
True.
They've got their own tax law.
Okay.
And Donkey Kong would commit racketeering.
Yeah, I could see him running a protection racket. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got a whole slew of Kongs. Funky Kong shows up. It's like, oh, it's a nice story you got here.
Mm-hmm.
Be ashamed. if
Whoops.
Someone was to turn up a boombox really loud in here and shatter the windows.
Slipped on this banana peel and
All right, Hunter from Ontario. Should they make another Pushmo for Switch?
Yes.
Yes.
Should they put Mallow from Pushmo in Smash Brothers
Why
with
not?
an E-Honda-esque moveset?
Yeah. Hey,
Hell yeah.
Go for it. Let's do it.
God,
How
what was
about a
the-
Pushmo stage?
What was the
in
second
Smash?
Oh,
Pushmo?
yeah.
What was I can't remember the name of the second Pushmo.
Pulmo?
No, it was something like that though.
Yankmo.
Yeah.
Push
Ah,
less.
It wasn't like
Yeah.
Shove Mo or no.
There's Pushmo. There's
Pushmost.
Roll. There's one that starts with an R, I want to say. Not
Man.
Roll Mo. No.
Oh, that's right. It was called Pull Blocks in,
Yeah.
in
With
Europe.
an X.
Yeah.
Crash Mo.
Crash Mo.
That was it.
Oh.
Or Fall Blocks in Europe. I could go for another Pushmo, I guess.
Pushmo, one of the highest ranking games in title, is as fun to say as the game is to play.
Pushmo is so good.
Yeah.
But I didn't get in the second one nearly as much. I don't know why.
Yeah, so maybe another one wouldn't actually... But at the same time, more people should play those games. So even an HD remaster of those games would be welcome.
Pushmo is a heck of a game.
To some extent.
Steve from Newcastle
in
England.
Oh.
What is the future for the Assassin's Creed series? You may well disagree with me, but I primarily bought each game in the franchise due to the elements of historical tourism that the games had to offer. The stories and gameplay were fine, but seeing a fully realized version of the Crusader-era Holy Land, Renaissance Italy, or more recently Ptolemaic Egypt was the main draw. Now with games like Ghosts of Tsushima on the horizon, the Assassin's Creed games no longer corner the market with historically accurate open worlds. How do you think they will adapt to this in the future, or will they just continue plodding on doing their own thing?
Sci-fi space sim and a 4X game. That's where they're going.
MOBA.
Yeah.
Sure.
They did kind of monopolize the period piece.
Yeah, for the longest time.
As much as games could be period pieces. Aside from like LA Noire or anything, but...
I mean, they made it their thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know,
well, especially because they kept coming up with new ones, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't make 8 games set in Italy, you know? They kept going.
And whenever there was talk of a new game, it was always like, "Oh, where is it going to take place? I hope it's this place. I hope it's this place."
That's always the number one question people want to know is,
And then they said a couple of years ago that they're like, we know you're asking for it. We're not going to do feudal Japan. But now there's a character, one of Layla's friends, I forget his name, Kiroshi, I think, and he's part of the Japanese Brotherhood, and he used to be Yakuza.
Okay.
So everybody's like, oh, shit, they're leaning into it now. So I have no idea.
Did they really come out and say no at one point?
Yeah, like I don't know if it was an actual official thing or if it was like one of the lead writers was like, no, we're just not going to do it. And it's just like everybody wants us to. We're not going to.
I can't live up to
too obvious or something. Yeah, I don't know.
I still feel like they're the first place people look for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What if it was what if it was set in like the time period of Yakuza?
What if it was set in the 80s and you could play Outrun?
Yeah.
Like I think
Virtual Fighter 5.
Yeah, there you go.
I think Assassin's Creed is more than fine. Like for as over the top as Odyssey is, it's still getting me interested to be like, maybe I'll read up about this battle or about Marathon or something.
What is the most recent one they've done? They did Victorian England.
Before Origins?
Yeah. Like the latest time period?
Yeah, like the most recent historical
setting.
setting.
Is it 3?
It would have been Assassin's Creed 3, right?
The Syndicate would have been well after that.
Oh yeah.
I think Syndicate's probably the newest one.
What was the PS?
Well, no, if you want to get into, I think
one?
those Chronicles ones, they did Russia, like
those side scrollers. Oh, really?
Yeah,
so that was my question: was if they'd ever done a 20th century one.
Yeah, so I think that was
okay.
I think it was like Bolshevik Revolution.
Yeah.
And India, I think might have also been.
Yeah, because I feel like there's maybe some more history to
those
mine.
games aren't that terrible, actually. I just played them recently, and they were kind of fun. And I don't know if maybe it's just, again, I took a lot of time off Assassin's Creed. Maybe I was just like excited to get back to it, but I don't know. Yeah, I keep thinking they're gonna do like a World War II one or something, where you're an assassin, and then you're just going after Hitler.
What if it's World War I and you kill Archduke Franz Ferdinand?
I would not be surprised.
It feels like exactly the kind of thing they would do.
There's parts in Odyssey where they're like, oh, that was the assassin's fault that this happened or whatever. Yeah, it's just batshit crazy.
Ben in Boston. I played arcade games a bit as a kid, but I didn't follow the scene in any way and just assumed every cabinet of a particular game was functionally identical. You guys have frequently mentioned dip switches, though, and the changes they could make on some machines, such as number of lives and difficulty. In the Quick Look for Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, Jeff said these dip switch options could be used to give individual arcade operators control over how difficult a game was, and therefore how much money they might extract from people. How common or intentional was this? Was it an explicit part of the agreement between game makers and arcade operators? How granular did these options get? Were they commonly used, or did most arcades just leave games on the default settings? Were there any especially weird examples of how dip switches were used to change the playing experience?
I'd say like 8 times out of 10, they would be just default.
Yeah,
but
totally.
When games were brand new, they definitely wanted to suck as much money out of people as possible, you know. So like when a new Tekken game came in, they would jack the prices up considerably, you know.
And then you could also like change the difficulty of the AI to, you know.
Yeah, totally.
If you're playing alone, you're going to lose.
Yep.
Yeah, it's generally like I want to say originally it was usually like pricing, and then like if a game gave extra lives, you would set the score. So there'd be like different score settings for like, oh, we're going to give you a free life at 10,000 points, or hey, we're going to give it to you at 7,000, or like every 140,000 points you get this, or
But some weren't even that granular.
Yeah. But yeah, then you get to others that are like, hey, we're going to set the difficulty for this, or I want to say that there are probably like porn games that you can turn the porn part off with the dip switch.
Ooh.
I know, right?
Censorship.
Come on.
This is a family touch master. Thank you.
Yeah. Emphasis on touch. Emphasis on master.
Whoa.
I know. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. It was generally shit like that.
Yeah.
But you can go in like on NFL Blitz or NBA Jam and stuff like that. Like there's just a separate screen of menus you go into instead of like physical switches. You could also just go in and modify settings there. And that would be stuff like timer speed. So if you just wanted the games to be faster, you could turn that up, and then people would have to pay more frequently to play. And turn on and off like tournament modes, like NBA Jam's rubber banding is like legendary, but you can turn it off if you want. No one ever did because people were trying to make money. But yeah.
One more arcade email from Brett in Springfield, Missouri.
You could turn the blood off in Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Fatalities, stuff like that.
Yeah. God, who did that?
Right? Yeah.
Who
Yeah, right.
would buy a Mortal Kombat machine and then do that? I live in Springfield, Missouri, and here we have a 2-story retro arcade named 1984. $5 will get you unlimited play for the entire day. It's a great place with great games. The owners are passionately dedicated to their strict policy of only arcade games from the 1980s. I found this out because I took my son there for a birthday party, and he asked if they had a Mortal Kombat machine anywhere. I asked the owners and was met with a joking, but also somewhat serious, no way, we will never carry one of those here. Curious, I asked why, and was told that in the early 90s when MK came out, it was almost solely responsible for the death of arcades as they knew them. Mortal Kombat was so popular, it forced arcades to replace many of their old games with MK cabinets to meet demand. This led to arcades being full of MK cabinets, and when consoles became a somewhat viable replacement for the arcade experience, the arcades were then deserted, and the ones left standing didn't have any of the old classic games anymore. I'm curious about your opinion of this. Are they right to blame Mortal Kombat for this? Does any of the staff hold fighting games like MK in contempt like these gentlemen?
You ever been to an arcade that had more than one MK machine?
I've seen stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Certainly not arcades.
I think, yeah, that's a little bit hyperbolic, but I mean, there definitely was a shift to fucking fighting games everywhere.
Yeah, it was more fighting games than just Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I think he's drilling down a little bit too much, but yeah, like around like 92 to 94.
But also in that era, it's not like arcades were fucking booming and like arcade games were awesome. It was like fighting games dragged people back into arcades.
Most of what was getting made at that point.
A lot of that stuff was starting to slow down.
Consoles, because
of consoles killed arcades. Yeah. As soon as consoles became powerful enough to run a lot of those games in a more acceptable form than they were in the 80s, yeah, man, why would you fucking leave the house?
Yeah.
That's my answer. Why would you leave the house?
Yeah, now you're talking. Yeah, that was really kind of PlayStation Saturn before it really got to that point.
Yeah, like when Tekken 1 came out and it was like, oh, this has more shit in it.
Yes.
That was kind of like the final, like, oh.
Or they basically looked the same.
Yeah.
Like, MK2 on the Super Nintendo was pretty good, but it was not.
It was not the
perfect.
Arcade. You're right. But for a lot of people, it was.
Yeah.
Close enough.
But yeah, like that's most of what was getting made for arcades at that time.
Yeah, and it just changed.
Fighting games.
The rise of consoles changed expectations for games in terms of like length and what you wanted out of them. Like, that was the thing that Midway ran into, was like, oh, we make all these sick ass arcade games. I guess we have to try to put a season mode into NBA Jam or NFL Blitz or something, because who's gonna, you play it for 3 minutes and then you start over again, like there's nothing else to it.
Yeah,
like that doesn't translate to home all that well. Yeah,
indeed. All right, last email from Joey in Burlington, Ontario. With the news trickling out that Telltale is exploring other avenues to attempt to finish the final season of The Walking Dead while simultaneously laying off the majority of their employees, can this be seen as Telltale attempting to outsource their projects for cheaper labor costs while attempting to minimize the PR backlash? It seems like a really scummy way to do business, if you ask me. I have seen entire departments get outsourced before, but those situations were months-long affairs, and have never been overnight like this Telltale situation is going down. Their messaging seems deliberate.
Yeah, I mean, when they got out there and announced, hey, we might have a way to finish The Walking Dead.
Yeah, like within hours of the news coming out, practically.
Which, the news of that getting out is the thing that's going to lead to people calling up and
Yeah,
being
of course.
like, hey,
They
we want to
first
do
said
this.
we're not going to finish it, which
Right.
makes it hard to think that this was like this huge preconceived like plot to make The Walking Dead for cheap. I think what happened more likely is they, fired these people for whatever business reasons, and they said they weren't going to make Walking Dead, and then some people maybe started reaching out, some third parties who
like,
had
hey,
an interest.
Let's do a business deal. Let's do this, or
it's still scummy. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
it's still incredibly gross.
Yeah. But yeah, the announcement of, hey, this is barely a going concern, is the sort of thing that brings people out of the woodwork. Going, hey,
yeah, of course,
that's still a popular franchise. Why don't we fund it and you give us all the money, or whatever? We'll just get it done, or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any grand conspiracy like this guy is imagining. Seems more opportunistic than that. But the fact that is what they're prioritizing, finishing the game, just kind of throwing all the old employees to the wind is pretty telling.
I don't know, like what. It fucking sucks. At the same time, like I don't know what they would even be in a position to do.
Nothing.
Yeah,
it's a problem with the industry as a whole, not just this specific studio.
If they're trying to keep this studio alive at all, then this is the sort of stuff they would do to try to achieve that goal and maybe get back to a place where they can have things going. But I don't know what their long-term plans are.
I mean, I've seen calls on Twitter out there for employees to be paid out of like the executives' compensation packages. So like if that's the situation, like that is pretty telling that there is no money outside of those people's pockets left to pay. Like if you're, you're essentially having to appeal to the generosity of the people who got paid in the situation.
And it sounds like fucking today was the day for healthcare.
Yeah.
So it's just fucking sucks.
It is
fucking
It is a pretty ugly situation for sure.
All right, yeah, they announced it on the 21st, and then they're like, oh, end of the month.
Yeah.
Benefits are done.
Yeah.
That season is getting pulled off of stores. I don't know if you saw.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
the final season.
The final season has gotten pulled from.
And then like all their other games dropped to $15 or something.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I think like a lot of prices dropped for a lot of their.
Yeah, there's a point. I mean, I like many people. I was like, I fell off Telltale after like the first season of The Walking Dead. I played like an episode of The Wolf Among Us and liked it, but I wasn't like super into it. After the news, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to go back and check this stuff out. And I was like, oh wait, no, I don't want to give them money after everything they just did.
Yeah.
It's not like these 250 people are getting that money. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate because, like, is there anything to stop, like, whatever remains of this company in a business sense from going out there and saying, like, hey, any further proceeds? Well, I guess they probably have, like, debts. They
probably have a ton of creditors.
They can't go out there and say, hey, any further revenue will go to these employees.
It's a shitty, complicated situation.
Yeah, it's like, I imagine it's just all the licenses they hold. They have to, like, pay people. Like, the one thing that they're holding on to is the Netflix Minecraft or whatever.
I guess legally they have creditors that have to get paid before they could say, hey, we're going to pay our employees with this money.
But also, they didn't file for bankruptcy, right?
Okay.
So
I don't know.
I don't think they did.
Clearly not a business guy here.
I think if they wanted to pay everybody, they could have filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
If I'm probably.
But they probably couldn't have continued on with this current project. They wanted to.
It's a fucking mess.
Yes.
Has anything new come out of it in the last couple of weeks?
I think it was just the last thing was like, we may be able to do The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I think that's the last kind of public comments they've made. Don't know if we'll ever really get any resolution on this stuff. On that note,
but yeah, like you said, this is an industry problem. This is like kind of bigger than Telltale.
Yeah. All right. Bombcast@giantbomb.com. It's a cheery email to end things on.
Yay!
Yeah. What's up with the after show?
We'll pick it back up in the after show.
Yeah, that's right. Stick around if you're listening live. We'll be here for the after. If you're not listening live, subscribe to the
Giant
Bombcast Aftermath
with an exclamation mark.
Yeah, subscribe to that shit.
Just gonna like shout questions at this pre-recorded
just
question
type
show.
Giant Bombcast into the search thing and
then click on the second
thing.
Actually, I can't even say that because like there are other people that named their shit in really weird ways that like they're trying to get some heat off our fucking name, man. Keep our names out of your mouth, motherfuckers.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Some podcast beef I'm unaware of.
I'm starting one right here.
Okay.
You got another podcast out there? Fuck off.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
We're taking on
That's
all
right.
the big ones.
That's right.
I got bad news for you. There's a lot of podcasts out there.
Not anymore.
That's-
They all just closed up shop.
Whoa.
Because they realized what the fuck they were up against.
Huh.
Joe Rogan's gonna kick through the wall and just
Yeah.
start beating you.
He's going to hold me down and shoot DMT into my eyeballs.
It's going to try to hotbox you in the studio.
Yeah. It's like,
Take
we're not
that.
getting out of here until your skin looks like a hot dog just like mine.
All right. Send in all your questions about Joe Rogan to the after show.
Do not.
Coming up next.
We are not
Do not.
taking any questions.
What if
on
that's
the
what
topic
people
of-
want to know about?
We'll see.
I've said everything there
If they
is to
get
be
past
said.
the screening process with a Joe Rogan question, I won't be surprised.
You opened this door. Now walk through it.
God
Sorry.
damn it.
All right. Thanks to Mike Mahardy for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks for coming on.
Thanks for doing all that field work and
Ah, no worries.
bringing us your report.
Yeah, it's been a fun week.
Some interesting stuff coming up. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this podcast. The studio is coming together.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see something from the studio this week.
Hopefully
crossed.
minimal disruption to our recording process. I
Yeah,
guess we
it's,
can't say for sure.
Assassin's Creed Quick Look went up yesterday.
Mhm.
Check that out. That Forza stuff is up. That Forza review is in the Giant Bomb Presents podcast feed.
Yeah.
We'll see a game tapes probably this week.
Yes.
That's right. And game tapes.
Yeah.
Check all that shit out.
Yeah.
So, doing Fist of the North Star?
Yeah, Fist of the North Star.
All
We
right.
got to record that yet. But,
Check that out.
Yeah, sometime this week, I hope.
Mike, you want to plug anything before we get out of here? What do you got going on?
We will GameSpot. We're gonna we'll be covering a lot of Red Dead in the next few weeks. I've got an Assassin's Creed video going up, just kind of coming back to it after taking a few years off. But yeah, we'll have a lot of Red Dead coverage. Rob and Jake are kind of heading it up. We're just like doing a few episodes before it comes out, and then once it comes out, we'll have a few more after. I think we're calling it like Quick Draw or something. It's like a 10-episode miniseries about that game because I'm
Too
sure
close.
Did
Too
you guys-
close to Quick Look? You have to change it.
That's right.
Quick Draw, Quick Look. We're the ones taking your names and stuff. I'm right here.
Quick Looks run on GameSpot, so that's even more confusing.
Did you
Yeah,
guys get
true.
to pull any footage of that? When you saw
No,
it?
not from our demo. We've just been using those two trailers
Okay,
now.
gotcha.
I have no idea when we're actually gonna like get our own footage of that. Probably just right around release.
I feel like the entire industry is just gonna like grind to a halt when that game comes out.
Yeah, it's gonna be similar to like Breath of the Wild, like all the different shit you're seeing happening, except I think times 8 with
Yeah.
this. So it's gonna be a lot. If you're not sick of Red Dead already, people will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't
All
wait.
right, buckle up.
Huh.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's Giant Bombcast. Thanks for listening. We will see you again next week. Same time, same place.
The show is brought to you by our sponsor, Nighthawk Pro Gaming by Netgear. Give your PC the bandwidth it deserves. The XR500 has been rated the top performing gaming router by PC Gamer. And you can trust that this router is not going to let anything on your network prevent you from getting out there and getting the speed you desire, the stability you desire. That's why they built it that way. You can visit netgear.com/NPG to learn how you can join the No Lag crew today. Remember, when you support the sponsors, you help make this podcast possible.